Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of The Gray Area. I am Mr. Bennett, joined by my partner, as always, Grooming and Reviews 101, a.k.a. The Ghost of Sparta. I thought you were going to Sparta! See, the next time I do that, you just play the clip. You just play the clip, and then I'll bring in.
All right.
A.k.a. Peter, a.k.a. Paniotis. Again, good to have you guys with us. Nice. So it's good to be with you guys tonight on another edition of The Gray Area. Again, thank you guys for just absolutely. Thank you guys for stopping on through tonight. We already got some folks in the audience. Salute to, again, Boss Man CB. Thank you for coming through. Our God Lost in Translation. Appreciate you coming through. HW. Again, hello. Thank you for coming through. 183307. It's good to have you guys with us tonight as we, just going for another show. Certainly, if you see at the bottom of the screen as the show goes on, you'll see Cash App. So anything you'd like to contribute to us personally, we so much appreciate it. But more importantly than that, we also ask that you support the BMU Network. I mean, the BMU Network strives to give you content 7 days a week, different shows, different platforms, different, so we're not a monolith over here, all kinds of different topics that we have. But this show specifically is where we again have conversations, us being from different ethnic backgrounds, but we have common conversation, finding common cause, and to find the gray area that unites us. We feel that again we're a lot more united than not, and so we find a lot of common ground here. So we just have a conversation. There's seldom a pattern or theme that we're trying to do here. It could be a few weeks ago. We were talking about some very heady topics. Then the last week we talked about toys. So it could be on any a given topic at any given time. But again, we find the connection. Last week we had a call-in show. It was good to have folks come up with us and chat it up with us. And we strive to do those call-in shows at least every month. But we may even try to increase it. Maybe every couple of weeks, or every 3 weeks, have a call-in show for you guys to certainly participate in the conversation. But I want to start out the show, just kind of not leaving anything, on the table. So, couple weeks, I'd say 3 weeks ago, we started with a series of conversations. Peter and I, we have a lot in common, just our backgrounds, even though we come from different places. But one of the things that we talked about was the care, parental care. All of us, we're all getting older. Certainly I'm Gen X, he's millennial. And, certainly where, you get to a point where your parents, start to depend on you more and more. And so both of us are in a situation where we've had to take care of our parents. So we've had to, we had that conversation. And I've had the opportunity to take care of both my parents, single parent supporter. Good to have you with us tonight. Good to see you tonight. So I had that privilege of being able to care. I'm the youngest of five. And my brother, who's the next oldest, he's 6.5 years older than me. So I've been told on many occasions I was the kid who was not supposed to be here. They weren't trying to have me at all. But I became the primary caretaker for my parents. And, in that process, certainly it definitely forced me to grow up in a lot of different ways and take on those responsibilities. And there was a lot of growth that I need to have in that process. And it finally came to a head. So that was the show on parenting. Then the next show, we talked about death. So again, in terms of how different cultures, how do you deal with death from a cultural perspective, the rituals that are involved, the burial practices, how funerals are done. So again, we had, Peter and I sharing, I had brother Black David, who's in the background, certainly shared his perspective on that. And that kind of got very emo. I mean, we, in terms of, the content is not something we like to talk about, but these are necessary things because this is part of the life cycle. So we've talked about since the show even started. We talked about growing up. We talked about marriage. We talked about families. We talked about weddings. We talked about, so all different types of things that we did. But death is a part of life. And we have to be able to certainly include that in the conversation. And so, so we had a show about death. We talked about death and estate planning. And, are you in a position, should a loved one die, are you going to be able to support that? Because a lot of times, people don't realize that you don't have insurance, or you thought your parents had insurance and they don't. And a lot of times they go about, people start scrambling, trying to find dollars, trying to pay the funeral home, and also looking at the different options. Some cultures cremate, some cultures bury. So some rituals are very, some people bury very quickly, others it's kind of drawn out. So those were some very, like I said, very deep conversations, and certainly I appreciate both Peter and Black David sharing their perspective on it, and the things, certainly in the case of Brother David, just the things that he still grapples with, again, when it comes to death. And sometimes what also happens with families when it comes to death, because that can be also a very stressful time. And sometimes you find out who your true friends and family are in those times when people die. So we had that conversation. We had a couple shows since then. But today, I would say yesterday, some things actually got actualized, where my father, he died back in 2018. And so certainly that was a conversation, worth having. But yesterday, my mother, somewhat suddenly, passed. Got a call at 5 a.m. in the morning that Inez Bennett, that's my mother, she had passed at the age of 86. And so we're already in the process of starting, funeral planning and whatnot. It's just a process. So I'm kind of like I'm the planner in the family, especially when it comes to her care. So I'm already in sort of planning mode in terms of getting it out. So again, the insurance, like I said, do you have insurance? So again, I file my claims. I get the claim work started. Already in contact with the church. Already in contact with the funeral home. So things are starting to move very quickly on that. And but I already determined years ago, because we've already almost lost her a few times in the last few years. She's had a couple of strokes since then, and but she always bounced back. And this last time was interesting because we had her in a palliative care program. But we had actually gotten a good report a week and a half ago that her foot actually healed up. So, she was making great progress, and we were actually contemplating, did she even need to be in palliative care? And, so we were thinking, okay, well, we'll visit that conversation as she continues to show progress. But like I said, unfortunately, on Friday, late Thursday into Friday, her condition certainly turned for the worse. It came very suddenly, but we thought we had her stabilized Friday. I was actually in New York City. My wife and I, we actually went to Lower Manhattan, hung out. We saw the Statue of Liberty for the first time. We were just hanging out, just us. And then I got the call from the facility that some things had taken a turn, but towards the end of the night, we thought we had things stabilized. And but again, 5 a.m. that morning, I got the call that she expired, so I went and saw her for the final time. And but I had already made up in my mind that, in fact, we were supposed to have our 4th of July gathering with the family that day. And I already made up this decision that we were going to still have the gathering, because one thing I do not do is I do not wallow in pity. I do not, certainly I had my moments to mourn, but the show still goes on, and so that's just me. But everyone expresses grief and does their thing the way they need to do it. But because I am essentially the patriarch now, and in a lot of ways, you have to start doing, what you need to do. So I wasn't going to end the gathering. I still worked out. That's my day to train. I still train that day, and I just keep it moving. I have no intention to take any time off from work. I may just ask maybe to work remotely from time to time, but, I'm going to keep the train moving, and I'm going to make sure that my mom gets the appropriate send off and flowers as she, certainly rests on the other side of heaven. And that's the last thing, based on my faith. That's the last thing that I worry about. That's the easy part in terms of where she is. But, dealing with other families' emotions and things of that nature, you have to be mindful of that. So we're going to be in planning as we do that. So for those of you of faith, if you have any faith at all, I'd appreciate any prayers that you have and support during this time. I appreciate it. I've got so many of you have reached out to me already. And again, thank you so much for your well wishes in these times. Thank you for the chat who's even giving it out tonight. Really appreciate you guys coming up. But we're here to have a conversation tonight. So again, Peter, if you have anything to say on that, you can. But we're gonna have the conversation tonight. He was like, "Do you still want to have the show?" He said, "Stupid question. You still want to have the show?" I said, "No, we gonna have. Let's have the show. Let's have the convo, and let's keep this thing moving." So Peter, anything if you want to say on that, you may. But definitely looking forward to the show tonight. Absolutely.
Yeah, I was asking it back. I want to ask you one more time. Are you good, first of all?
I am good. I am
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
Do
absolutely.
you think it hasn't hit you yet? Possibility because of how busy
It's
you're
it's
planning.
possible, but it's a weird thing because one, like I said, my mom. We almost lost my mom a couple times. When my dad had passed, her health started to take a turn for the worse. And again, we almost lost. She had a couple of strokes. She had diabetes. She almost had had some episodes with that. And I'm getting calls at 4 in the morning that she's in the hospital. I didn't know she was in the hospital. So we were looking then, and that's when I really got serious about, again, health insurance. I feel like she didn't have any life insurance. My dad, fortunately, years ago had life insurance, and so that certainly helped us with the funeral costs. But I realized that she didn't have any, but again, I wasn't as intimately involved in the process at that time because I thought other family members were kind of on top of it. But it became very apparent that I need to take that on. So I've been kind of at this a couple times already. And so I think what that does to you as well is it mentally prepares you in that you have to be about the business. So for me, if I get too much into the emotions of it, it's harder for me to make the right decisions. So I'm in some ways I was prepared for this. Again, going back to the reason why we put her into the palliative / hospice care. Again, she had 4 amputations and they weren't healing. And so we had already made the decision that we're not doing any more surgeries. Because again, just the pain that she was going through, and nobody needs to be going through that pain at such an age. So we decided as a family that we weren't going to be doing that, and we just wanted to make her last days as comfortable as possible. So we put her into a palliative care program. She wasn't terminal, but again, we weren't sure if the foot would heal or if the condition would worsen and affect other parts of her body. So we had her in that program, but she was still healthy. She was eating well. They were doing a good job keeping us up to date. We saw on a regular basis my sister, who became more involved in terms of her, time going there, make sure she's well fed and taken care of. So we were, seeing some positive results. And again, when I got the call less than a couple of weeks ago that her foot actually healed up, that nobody was expecting that. So we felt a little bit better about, hey, this is something that we expected to be here for certainly for a while. This is a sort of terminal thing, but then something happened. But again, when you're that age, when you have all the conditions that she has, in the back of your mind, you have to kind of say to yourself that anything can happen at any time. And so there's already been a part of me that has been my plan. And my dad, he also died suddenly as well, not expecting him to die. And then unfortunately he had a cardiac episode and died. So there's always been in the back of my mind that I can't, make the assumption that they're going to be there tomorrow. So part of me has already been prepared for this. And now it's just the realization that, okay, one, it's finally happened. And then, getting the notices out to the immediate family and whatnot, and making sure that they're good and just managing the emotions of other people. But spiritually, definitely, I was already prepared for it. And now it's just going to be about, again, handling the business so that we can definitely make sure that, again, she gets the appropriate send off.
I'll be honest with you, Paul. You don't you get your handles a lot better than I would. I wouldn't you would be on camera. I'll be like full of tears, crying right and left. That's
Mm-hmm.
again, that's me. Everybody mourns a different way. I would probably take it a lot harder than you would. I'm not gonna.
Mm-hmm.
They're in bullshit.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I mean, this isn't something that, like I said, we've had several years of this, at least in my mind. Now, the only one so far in my family who really got affected is my middle sister. She was affected because she had actually planned to be out here in August. She usually takes a trip out. She's on the West Coast. She
Mm-hmm.
usually comes out here in the summer, the late summer, and spends some time out here a few weeks. And wanted to visit mom and go by and have dinner with her and just all the sort of the things that she was used to.
Family stuff.
What's that?
The family stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So she was really taken aback because, especially after I had shared the report of her improved condition, then that even made it was like everyone was more excited and enthused about. She was certainly more excited and enthused about coming out, and so she was pretty broken up over the news. But everybody else, I think my sister, because she's been closest to it, she was able to kind of embrace it a little bit more. And then I had a sister and my other sister, youngest sister, she got a chance to see my mom last winter. So she was kind of, in a good place in terms of seeing her and whatnot. But she kind of understood also. that again, she's at a point where we can get the news at any time, or it could be a couple years from now. You just don't know when. Again, by my faith, when the Lord calls you home, and so we take that and we just proceed forward from here.
Like I said in the back channel, say out public, do anything you need. I'm on phone call away. Just keep that
I
in mind.
appreciate you. I appreciate you. And again, everybody I see in the chat, thank you, Lady Navoa, Embrace the Grace. All the folks who are chiming in with the well wishes. Really appreciate you guys and the support of the network. BMU reached out personally to me on this, and so again, really meant a lot. And just ask for your prayers and support during this time as we lay both my parents to rest, and certainly just happy to an extent that I was able to grow a lot in that process, overcoming some things, because again, I didn't have, as I've shared on the show, I didn't have the greatest relationship with my mom. Certainly neither of my parents, quite frankly, but certainly my mom. It was a very strained relationship for a lot of years. So for me, developing the maturity to be able to, be about the business of making sure that she's well cared for, and coming to a point where I can let go of some of the anger that I might have had at one time over how I was raised, or any of those situations that all of my family members, quite frankly, had to endure. But to get over that, because at the end of the day, again, as you get older, there's a lot of stuff that you just need to let go of. That it's just not worth it, because again, you're the one who has to live after that. So you carrying any resentment or angers and things like that, it could be toxic to your soul. So growing in that process to let some of that anger go is certainly something that certainly is a blessing and a lesson that as long as I have breath to share with, especially men, to share with men that that again, that you need to move on from some stuff, because then the people who are coming after you, your children, your family, the people who are going to need you in the future, they're not getting all of you if you're still being trapped by some of the injustices. And I acknowledge those injustices that might have been done to you in your past, but you definitely need to get past some of that stuff. So certainly if I can be an advocate in this space now that I've gone through it, certainly on this side, if I can be an inspiration to people, certainly I look forward to that. But if anybody wants to reach out to me and chat, if you've gone through a similar experience and you want to chat to me on it, then certainly it'd be an honor to be a resource for that situation.
Yeah, anything you need, like I said, I'm here. So
Appreciate
don't
you.
hesitate, anything. So,
Right.
But enough of that sad stuff. Let's get into the show, actually.
Absolutely. Let's go.
Yeah. All right, barbershop. So let's see what kind of Flacco hair you're going to talk about.
What kind of what hair?
Flacco, nice hair. Flacco, get it?
No. I only Flacco I know from Spanish. That means thin. So definitely.
No.
Yeah. Actually, you can certainly. Does he have any phone messages, mails of his parents that he can replay if he's feeling down? No. I certainly I wouldn't go back to anything that was said in the past. Again, I'm kind of a guy who kind of looks forward on certain things. So I don't, and I'm not that nostalgic. So again, I don't plan to keep a lot of my parents' heirlooms or whatnot. I got some photos, got some pictures of some things or whatever, but I don't again hang on to a lot of things from the past. Not in that context anyway. So those won't be factors. But when you said Flacco, I thought that was Spanish for thin. But then I wasn't sure. Pelo is for hair in Spanish. But as far as hair look, I mean, certainly from what I've seen, different cultures have different barbershops. So again, you have the black barbershop. You have obviously your Italian barbershops. I'm sure you'll share there's Greek barbershops, but each one has its own sort of unique flair. But I think one of the things that's probably the most common amongst them all is that they have been historically, gathering places for men. In fact, especially in today's society where everything is so, everything is so integrated, that is still one of the few, holes where guys can kind of go and be their authentic selves. So, because a lot of times, especially in a black barbershop, a lot of times you have half the people in there that ain't even get a haircut that day. They just want the conversation. I think there'll be guys sitting in the corner there. Look, dude, I'll pay for your haircut. It's like, nah, I don't want no haircut. But they're just there for the combo. So the barbershop certainly for black men, certainly in the United States, has always been that place. It's not that much different than our show on Friday night. So again, for those of you on the BMU network, we do have a barbershop show that models what actually happens in the barbershop. So we're actually giving you a bit of the flavor of what happens in the black barbershop. With our discussions, we try to keep it as authentic as we possibly can. And but yeah, that's where real debate. There's fights in the barbershop. There's all kinds of guys get cussed out in the barbershop, but something happens. Y'all all times during the end, brothers dab each other up and say, "Look, I love you, bro. I'll see you next time." So so again, it's definitely the place where iron sharpens iron, and it definitely is a place where ideas, conspiracy theories, basically any topic you can think of is discussed. And the thing about it is, when you go in there, there's such no one has an agenda. Like the barbershop show we have on Friday nights, there's an agenda to the show because that helps the algorithm. You can go into any barbershop, black barbershop. You don't know what conversation that you're walking into, which is a good thing too, because you also need to learn how to think on your feet when you're having the conversation. So, so definitely, there's uniqueness to it. So I don't know if I've answered your question, but certainly it's been that.
So in the Greek barbershops in Greece, at least, they're completely different.
Okay.
Guys don't go in there just hang out to just bullshit. Most barbershops have, they have, alcohol sometimes, food they will have around there. Yeah, just something like, because most of the barbershops are owned by a mom and pop place, so they have little snacks there. Just kill the time. But most of them are not only barbershops; they're also salons, so they get 2-in-1 in it out of it.
Yeah. A lot of bars are like that too. Yeah,
but not as often. The one thing that's in common here in Greece is sports are the biggest topic there. Number one topic. So here's a scenario. One guy I know, we did this. He used to wear, so there are 4 major teams in Greece: Olympiacos, Panathinaikos, Anakos, and so on, right?
So these are all football teams you're talking about? Okay.
That's where I was going to get into it. So they're not only football, they're the same name team is for football, basketball, and so on. So the name is under one banner. It's usually like Panathinaikos is mostly for like outside of Athens. Olympiacos is more the Athens and so on. It's like districts almost. Think of it like, how New Jersey has Jets, for example.
Yeah.
Jets will have a football team, a basketball team, a polo team, a whatever sports. They're under the same name. Right. The same owner usually is. Okay.
Gotcha.
So there's one guy, he wanted the custom clientele, and he got caught eventually. So he knew who his customers are, so he always did it only by appointments. So he had in the back his barber shirts, all of them had the logo of the team he liked. Every time he had a different team, he go back there, change his shirt, come back out. He's a man, whatever. Go back there, change his shirt, and then so eventually somebody caught on to him. He goes, "What the fuck is going on here?" Usually, if it's your rival team, you do not go to that barbershop. That is literally no.
So the barbershop, so it gets so see that's the total opposite with the black. I mean, you'll have Cowboy fans fighting Steeler fans, fighting Giants fans, or whatever. It's free for all. So again, be prepared for the smoke. If your team win or if your team beat the other team, be prepared to take the beating or the jousting or whatever when you're in there. But y'all take it to the next level. It's so hardcore. So there's like essentially team barbershops that if you are a fan of the other team, you either better keep that under wraps or you just don't go there. You find you find a team friendly environment where you can get your barbershop. That's crazy though.
Yeah, see, barbershop sports talk is very intense. Like I see people literally curse each other out, and not only curse each other out, they won't talk to each other for months, even years sometimes, because they're like I was one of a few people who like two different teams, and people told me you can't do that. That's against the rules. I'm like, what rule?
Okay.
And like, where's the fucking handbook? It says I can't like two different teams. Like, everybody knows that shit. And like, no. And it was like, and my mother is the opposite teams I like. See, like,
Mhm.
her, territory team, and I like, I'm like the Athenians teams. She goes,
Right.
this,
Right.
you're not my son. You were probably mixed up in birth or some shit like that. She goes to me like,
Wow.
I'm like, God damn, thanks, ma.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, barbershops, the hair. Let's talk about the hairstyles there in Greece, for example. The most common is something similar I'm rocking right now, a comb over. So comb over in Greece is not the fades. They leave this like a 1 or 2, and they comb over. A very
Mhm.
classic old school look. That is
Right.
the most popular one. The
Right.
second most popular is the buzz cut. Everybody buzz it off. Mostly kids do it, and because they're so used to, kids be running around, doing their thing, and he's saying, "Hey, why give the kids a haircut when he's gonna be running around, being crazy no matter what?" You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Right. Right.
So that is the go-to. Now when it comes down to other ones, are like long hair is one of the most biggest styles too. Long hair has been in a population since I was a kid. The man bun
Mhm.
was the
Right.
man bun before the man bun was the man bun, if that makes
Right.
any sense.
Right. Right.
So now people who have like shaved head like yourself,
Total disrespect. I will not stand for slander.
shaved,
See,
okay, go
see,
ahead.
first of all, the
Go ahead.
7B network all seeks peaceful coexistence with our follicle neighbors. So we will never throw any slights, insults, criticisms, critiques at those who choose the follicle living. We just ask people just to consider a follically free lifestyle. So again, but the slings and arrows that are thrown our way or whatever, we take it with grace, and we will not have this conversation derail. So you can proceed with your diatribe if you want to, but I hope you land this plane somewhere. But
So let me ask you this
go
question,
ahead.
Paul. When people say shaved head, do you consider that like as a offense?
No, I have fun with it. I have fun with
No,
it.
I know you
But
do. I'm serious.
yeah,
Some people get
but
very
again,
offended.
the shit. Well, it's weird because I think certainly the bald head lifestyle is certainly getting, I think, more popular with black men over time. Because it used to
Agree with
be
that.
back in the day, if you had a shaved head, they thought you were a cancer patient or something like that. Especially if you were a kid who was bald, it was usually either because again you might have had cancer, or you may have had some sort of hair follicle. I remember growing up, I had a what do you call it, alopecia. So
Mhm.
I had hair loss, like I had big blotches of hair just out. And I know that was pretty tough to deal with. But my mom, at the time, she never gave me the buzz or the full shave to sort of cover it up. I just kind of went to school with it. But there was the source of ridicule. In fact, one time she even put a wig on me. Back in the day, she sewed a wig on top of my head. Unfortunately, I have school pictures with that. Unfortunately, I have school pictures with that wig that she literally put a wig on my head. Not even a toupee, but a straight up wig. And now it's about so, but yeah, I had alopecia back then, and even though it wasn't contagious, again, there was just a lot of ridicule with that. So again, as a kid, being bald, I don't think was certainly something that, in fact, I wouldn't even think even today, it's something that is necessarily favored. I mean, guys, wear like a low top fade or what have you with waves in their hair. But they're not, but bald isn't a thing. But I think certainly for black men, again, if you look at going all the way back, go back to Isaac Hayes, go back to Louis Gossett Jr. and Michael Jordan and the NBA, and just when all those, yeah, I had a Rick James wig on. Like I said, my mom and I had a very interesting relationship. I'll just say that. So again, there's a
You
whole
were a
history there.
bad shit out of you years ago. You were a big break.
I tell you,
You got
it was
big
it was
numbers.
a very rough relationship with her. But I think when you had those guys, like I said, the Michael Jordan when Michael Jordan shaved his head bald, and then you had Charles Barkley and all those NBA players started doing it, and then back then, now, I never had an earring. But then they started doing, okay, so it was like the bald head with the earring or whatnot, that was looked at. I remember Ebony Magazine actually running an article on, black men shaving their head, that was starting to become like the standard look, or certainly an appreciated look, a prideful look, and nobody wanted to have like the recessed head, the Sherman. For those who remember Sherman Hemsley from the Jeffersons, or having the dome here and then the hair wrapping around. Nobody wanted that look,
Right.
so guys were like, I'm shaving that whole thing off.
As grooming reviews, as the guy who runs grooming reviews, the expert for you guys, here's a little advice for all men out there. It's not a good look. So if you had a shoehorn thing, get rid of it. It's not a good
It's like the
look.
battle's over. You've already ceded, literally. You ceded territory already. So again, why die the slow death or whatever? I know my dad.
My godfather's like that. He, from wearing a hat in the military all these years, he had hair damage.
Mhm.
So he lost his hair over time, and he had the shoehorn. And I always look at him, dude, come on, get rid of it. It's done now. It's like, come on, now. Like, it's not a good look, dude. It's like
Yeah.
you're already old. You just make yourself older by doing that at this point.
Right,
And he
right.
kind of gets mad with me.
Yeah, my dad, and he had the smooth dome. So he had his hair, had most of his hair, but he had that big bald spot at the back of his head, which I started to actually develop about 5 or 6 years ago. But there was no thought that he ever, he might have got like a low haircut, but he never wanted to shave it off. So that shiny dome, I would remember like from the apartment looking down and just seeing that shiny dome of his all the time. And again, in the 70s especially, that's what, guys just wore that. But I don't think guys really walk around with the the bald spots anymore or whatnot. So yeah, my thing is,
some people rock the old shoehorn look, and like, bowled up here and have the sides, and like,
really,
sense, like, just get rid of it.
and that's definitely something for like the 70s or the 80s or whatever, but it just doesn't,
You get up your skull crusher, the scrub buzzer, and just
right.
get rid of it.
Yeah, and the guy, like I said, and just look, and I think I think a lot of the athletes, even the white was like Andre Agassi. Agassi, is he Greek? Or
I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
Andre Agassi? I thought he was a Greek. I know Sampras was. Pete Sampras was Greek, but I'm not sure about Agassi. But again, he went bald. When he started losing his hair. So again, it doesn't even matter the guy. White men, black men. All kinds of men.
Where your background's from, where you're, if you're Spanish, Greek, black, orange, cream, whatever. It doesn't do it. It comes to partially your DNA. So usually it comes from the mother side of DNA.
That is true.
If your grandfather is bald, most likely you're going to be bald. It skips a generation. The second factor, how good your testosterone is. If your testosterone is weak, you're going to lose your hair. If you're strong, you got a good, healthy hair. It just happens sometimes. It's not like anything you can control. It is what it is, kind of thing. Stress is another one. Stress has a big factor of lost hair.
That is true.
Slow growth and facial hair, believe it or not, is a
very true.
Major part of it. Smoking is another one. Smoking damages too. Believe it or not, what is good for hair, you're gonna be surprised when you hear this, is actually beer. If you have like one beer through a week or two, or even one a day, it's actually very healthy for health growth.
For hair growth.
Yes, the yeast hair really helps it.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. So when you talk about these barbershops, so you're in the barbershop. Are there different barbershops for like different hair? So you said you got the guys who rock it long. And that's almost because I'm thinking if you have like long hair, that almost is almost like you would almost go to a beautician to maintain if you have long hair versus if you keep it short and buzzed, that you would go to just a regular barber who's responsible for cutting and shaping your hair, but not necessarily treating it.
Let me just before I get to that, let me finish the styles they have in Greece when I was growing up. It was the side comb over, like I said, the classic. Right. You had the long one, then you had the spiky hair, and like skin fade or sword fade, like I have now, and spiked up. I mean, you're going through gel like crazy. That was very common and very popular. The one that people would rock for a little bit, it was here too, is like a buzz cut with little spikes, like a little devil thing. If you remember that back in the 90s, everybody was doing that for a while. There's a little poof here, let's spike that. That make no sense to me.
Right.
It was a bad look back then. I still think it's a bad look now.
Right.
So now, men who have long hair, they don't usually go to a barbershop or anything. They just take care of home. Wash, blow drying it. Yeah. They don't have the like they have now. Some people shave the sides a little bit.
Yeah.
Or do little trims here and there. The only time it goes like every 6 months to a year to do a maintenance trim, like kill the dead ends. Sometimes you don't.
What about color?
Again, that's the only exception. Is that you can do it at home or you go to professional. It really depends on how you're comfortable and who do you know. If you have a lot of female friends, they probably do it for you for free. Like
Right.
but some, not every guy is blessed like that. Some people you have to go to a barber shop or
Right.
a salon to
Right.
handle your hair like that. It really depends. So here's one thing is different in Greece. Every time you go to a barber shop, your hair is getting washed no matter what. It's automatic. It's part of the service.
Even if you're getting a low and tight, like it's kind of similar. You can get your hair washed.
Your hair gets washed automatically.
Interesting.
They
Okay.
keep their tools nice and clean. Yes, they have it in sanitizer water, the chemicals and everything.
Yep. Yep.
But that's another step how they keep it clean.
Right.
And it kind of does make sense a little bit. If you wash your hair right there, at least they know the hair is clean.
Yeah.
You can't
True
go
that.
wrong.
And I guess it helps with even with the tools that you're using, keeping them sanitized. Because again, sometimes in a barbershop, if the guy is not good with his hair maintenance, you might have headlights, whatever you might be going on and whatnot. So that could be a danger to the folks that are there. So I think that's a very sanitary practice to do that.
Yeah. So now the kind of music you're gonna be playing, it depends on you, really. Like, I know some a lot of barbershops have TVs and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have that in Greece. It's music, but it's usually very mellow music. You don't have the hardcore rap music like you most play barbershops you've been here in Greece. And one thing is also different. A lot of barbershop, not anymore, but back in the day, it's a few ones still around there. But you can get away with like $20, $25. You get a nice shape up with the beard, hair, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Now, close to $50, $60 you're paying.
Yeah, it's getting expensive out there for sure. Yep.
Understatement.
Yeah.
But
That's interesting. Now, I'm saying I'm curious about the music. You said light music. Is this like Greek music, Greek artists? Is it contemporary? Is it is it Beyonce? I mean, what when you say like light music, like what kind of music are you talking about?
It really depends on the owner. It could be Greek music. It could be, American music. It could be jazz. It could be whatever he wants. He puts on the radio and most people put the radio on. Keep it on a radio that is very metal, very PG for most people.
Right.
So even with the alcohol, people say, "Oh, you serve alcohol at a barbershop?" Kids are like, "Yeah." Don't forget, ageism is completely different in Greece and here. So
right, that's true. Yeah, and kids are certainly exposed to alcohol. Certainly a lot younger, I would think, in Greece than it is than it is here. Like it's more part of the culture. Especially for kids that I think we talked about that in one of our earlier shows that to have gatherings and the kids to have a certain wine or some sort of drink as with the adults do. It's not as big a deal.
Like a €10 a half. It's very common. Like people look at me like that's ludicrous. Like it's not because that's how the culture is.
Yeah.
But that's why we also have lower DWIs in Greece because people learn at a very young age how to respect the liquor.
Right.
How to know when to cut themselves off.
Right.
So, usually when you get there, they have like nice, comfortable couches, nice, really, like imagine a very high-end barbershop or salon. The couches, somewhere to relax and chill and hang out. That's a low end for me.
Mm-hmm.
They really put a lot of work in the barbershops.
Right.
And to get licensed, it's not that easy actually in Greece. It's very, very, very hard to get licensed.
Right, but you definitely need some sort of cosmetology license to
Here's a whole degree on that. Here, you just go to a barbershop school, and you can get it in 6 months probably. Give or take.
Right. Yeah, here it's all technically. I know in New Jersey, to be a barber, that you need to obtain a cosmetology license, but there's so many underground.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about college. The dude on your floor is cutting hair, on the floor, as long as you had those Andes clippers with the adjustable, the blades that just take on and off, as long as you had that, so guys made a killing, cutting hair in college and whatnot. So there's definitely a lot of underground activity when it comes to that. But in the state of New Jersey, you're supposed to have, in fact, it's supposed to be displayed in your barbershop, and it needs to be also up to date. So that's by the law. But there's so many guys who do underground that it's I don't see how they enforce it, quite frankly.
Every shop I have been into in PA and New York, they always were just like on every barbershop has a bar in the station.
Correct.
On the mirror right there. And the one thing they do difference, and it always drives me nuts. This one, So when they cut you, they always spin you usually your head your you're behind. You're not looking in the mirror. It's behind you always.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't understand. That's an American practice. I don't understand that. I never
Hmm.
understood it.
Hmm.
In Greece, you're looking right at the mirror the whole time he's cutting you. He
Hmm.
really doesn't move the chair. He moves around the chair.
Right. Well, a
So
lot of times, yeah. Well,
right,
here, like I said, at least in the black barber shop, a lot of times you're not doing that. One, there's a couple things that are going on. One, if there's a TV on, like if there's something like, let's say if the game is on, a lot of folks are watching the game. So again, you're going to be turned towards it because the TV is going to be in a common area that everybody can look at. Second, again, the barbershop conversation is taking place. So again, a lot of times you're going to be turned, and like, so you got the barber stations that are turned on the ends. They're going to be turned in. There's always going to be like, there's like a center. There's like a focus to where everybody's going to be to. So more than likely, you're not going to necessarily see the finished product or whatnot until like really towards the end. Once he starts shaping your edges and whatnot, then he may turn it around and start looking at you that way. But a lot of times, if you're engaged in the conversation, the barber's in the conversation, you're in the conversation or whatnot. So everybody's kind of, so yeah, so there's always going to be turned around. So it's not expected that you're going to be in the mirror the whole time as your hair is getting cut. Or what he may do is, let's say if you're getting a fade, a lot of times he'll start shaving on the side, how high you want it. So you can say verbally, okay, I want a high fade or whatever. He may shave like a side and then he'll turn around the mirror, or he may give you a mirror to see, okay, is that high enough or whatever. You say, okay, go a little higher, whatever, take a little more off, or go trim it lower. So, initially, but once he kind of gets the ball started, then, he may turn you again away from the mirrors, and just continue his work, and then you may follow up towards the end of it. So a lot of it has to do with the dynamic in the barbershop, especially when it comes to conversation.
I understand what you're saying with that, and I'm not arguing that one bit. But as a barber, I feel his responsibility is to cut the hair, not to watch the goddamn game, because that's how
I
people
yeah,
can you get fucked up haircuts.
and I've seen it. Okay, like I said, it's definitely, yeah. I mean, you would certainly want the person to be 100% on your hair, or whatever. But I've seen slip ups where again conversations going on. The barber's almost cutting you without looking at what he's cutting or whatever because he's just behind somebody. And I've seen a couple times of those incidences have happened, or you made the boo boo and now you got to do like a whole new different cut to cover up the boo boo or whatever. So I've seen it happen. It didn't happen often, but it does. But again, it's part of the culture. Like, rarely have I ever been in a traditional barbershop like that, where again you didn't have everybody being engaged at some level. And again, unless you were the type of person who's like, look, I gotta be out of here in 30 minutes because I'm late to a game. You may come in your suit. You go into a wedding, you go into an occasion where it's like, look, I need you to cut me in 30 minutes or less. Well, then the guy, he's going to be totally focused on you then if you make that kind of request. But if you're just in the shop and the guys that are typically there are the guys that you see every week or every other week and whenever you go, then it's an experience. No one's necessarily rushing to get home. Like when I used to go for a haircut, it was like expect to be away sometimes up to 2 hours. Even though the cut itself, if he just focused and did it, he probably could do it in 15, 20 minutes. But again, the purpose for going went beyond just the service that you were getting. You were part of the culture. And so, again, guys would take their time. There'd be long pauses, especially if the barbers are getting into it or whatever with somebody or something. You'll just be sitting there, you either taking it in or you're laughing or cracking up at the jokes that have been told or whatever. And it takes you a minute to get, for him to get kind of focused back to where he was and all that thing. But again, it's not just, again, in the ones that I've been in, it's not just about the business of the cut. Unless, like I said, emergency, yeah. And quick, boom, focus.
That is different. One thing about Greece and American barbers is you cannot just walk in. You need an appointment. There is no walk-ins. So there are very few occasions, like if he has a slow morning and you're just walking by, he's like, yo, do you have time for a haircut later? He goes, how about right now? I'm free. He goes, okay, grab a seat.
Yeah.
So there's very rare occasions with that. But most likely, you're going to get a haircut with an appointment. And like that's why most barbers I've gone in my, let me phrase that, in my adulthood, the last couple of years, they'll all do appointments now.
Yeah.
So it's really rare when you say walk-ins. And like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. It's like Lost just said in his comment here. It said the barbershop is an experience and a ritual. It's a getaway, so to speak. So again, it's not about. And guys, we would wait in the barbershop for sometimes 2 hours. Like it would depend. Like someone comes in, you look at the line. If there's maybe like 2-3 heads ahead of you. And again, given the time to take it, you may sit out and you simply join the conversation until it's your turn. Or if you got some place to go, it's like, you look at the line or whatever. I'll swing back through later on this afternoon and see if you still got some time. Very recently, unless you're going to one of those sort of high-end, sort of posh barbershops, because you do have some of those too, especially they don't even like to call them barbershops, they call them salons or whatever. Well, yeah, you got to make an appointment. But the only problem with the appointments is that they're never on time. I don't care if you're a black woman or if you're a black man. Whatever time you set for your appointment, you're more than likely within an hour or so before even getting to you. They double book appointments oftentimes. So again, especially if you're a woman, the person's still getting their hair washed. And you're like, man, I'm going
to push back on that because I've been making appointments for about the last 5 years, give or take. So minus COVID, I never had a problem with my appointment except with one barber, and he was good, but he was the only one because he never booked himself. He always ran slow. That was the only issue. Every person I've been there is like, by the time I sit down, I'm there maybe 5-10 minutes tops. He goes, I'm finishing up. I'm going to clean up a little bit, and then you're next.
I got you.
Or he's going to the bathroom.
I totally again. So this is not this is not a gray area with us. This is probably as black and white as it gets. All right. Because again, in a black barbershop, now, especially with, you got the apps now, you make your appointment on the app, and then you go in at a certain time and all that kind of stuff. But in the traditional black barbershop, you literally talking about hours. Like, if you got to be somewhere in 30 minutes, you better go first thing in the morning. Like you're there in line, to get and make sure you get there first, because nobody, especially if it's on a Saturday, which is when a lot of times most people go. It's usually a week. Barbershop is also a weekend thing. Saturday is like early in the week is probably an easy time you get in there. There's not a lot of traffic. Saturday, that's typically the day when guys go. And again, depending on the circumstance, if you need to get out of there fast, you better be there early or go on an off day, and most are closed on Mondays because they're open on the weekend. So you better go like a Tuesday morning.
Or closed Sundays.
Right. Yes. Most here, but they also take the Monday off because again, Saturday is like the big day of the week. So that's generally when the guys typically go. So, but if you want an early cut, go there Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. or 7:30 or whatever, for the business guys or whatever who, they need to get the train to get to New York or whatever. They'll come and they'll get their stuff and they'll keep it going. But if you're talking about a Saturday, which is that's like the apex of the week, you're almost looking forward the whole week. For black men, it is the ritual. You go there, you take your son there, right? Your son is there for a couple hours. You bring snacks for your son. You bring him water, juice, or whatever. He has his comic books or his video games or whatever while the conversation's going on. So where the guys are going, bah, 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 bah. Sometimes there's rules to say, hey, man, we got kids in the shop, man. No cursing, man, because we got kids here. It's like sometimes they let the kids go. It depends. No one, tries to tell a guy had a parent, but a lot of guys try to be respectful. It's like, oh, my bad. Oh, you kids, I'm sorry, my bad. With the cursing. But
I realize that too, because a lot of barbershops I've been to, like they're talking about a game and they start throwing the F-bombs and all this stuff, and the owner is right there cutting, like, yo, dude, like I have customers with kids here, chill out.
Yeah,
like, I have seen that. I've seen people like that. You curse again, I'm gonna have to leave.
Right.
So I see.
Now let me ask you this. This is a chivalry question. I'm gonna ask you. Now, does the same apply? And I know probably what the answer is gonna be. Does the same apply to women? Like, does the chivalry go to women in terms of, hey, you don't typically curse in front of a woman? or is that mostly reserved for the kids?
That's both ways, I believe.
Okay.
Like if was a woman sitting there, like her son, for example, or a teenager, let's say he's like, or whatever. Let's say he was there, she, her and her husband are there, and he says, "I'm gonna get a quick cut, and let's go on our errand." So she's just sitting waiting for him.
Mm.
I'm not cursing shit out. Like we're not even,
Yeah.
we're most guys are really quiet because they don't want to slip up.
Well, the conversation definitely changes because I mean, for example, if a woman's in there, unless she's one of those, now we got some women who are like they with the smoke. You know what I mean? So it's like we may talk about sex or whatever, who you were with last night, who you trying to get with or whatever. It can get very unfiltered, so to speak, when it comes to the combo. So again, if a woman does come in, it does kind of break some, you try to be respectful regarding some of the combo you try to have. Is the woman older or not? It might be a grandmother with her grandson in there, whatever. You try to, change, but it's almost, it's cool because it's almost like a dynamic. It's like as soon as we could be all the way in it, and then a mom comes in with her son or whatever, and we're singing like church hymns afterwards or whatever. You know what I mean? It just flows. And then when they leave, then be like, yeah, you have. So it's like we know how to modulate. We know how to modulate when depending again who's coming in, up kid here, up, pull it back, up mom here, up grandma here, up. And sometimes even if it's an OG, or if a pastor comes in, because again, we try to be respectful of, certainly the guys of the cloth as well. So again, guys weren't going all out, blah blah blah. Whether someone you knew as the local pastor in the community, he comes in to get a cut. The conversation changes, at least the language, if not the conversation, but the language definitely changes a little bit. So
one thing I realized about barbershops, I realized when I was a little more in my adulthood. Barbershop are men are more gossip than a goddamn fucking woman. Dude, tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, run that by. I was reading the last comment. Run that by me one time.
Men gossip more than women in a barbershop.
I'd say it's about equal. And honestly, now again, this is I only know this from my wife. Any experience I have with the shops or whatever, I don't hear women talking in the salons. I just don't. Now, again, I know we got some sisters in the chat. I know single parent supporter. You're out there, A-Team, 3307, Lady Genoa. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. But are women doing the chitter chatter to the same degree that the men are when they're in there? Because, I mean, it's involved because you're getting your hair washed. You're under the blow dryer, so it's hard to hear. You're doing she says it's equal gossip. Like I said, I don't know because I don't hang a lot of time in.
Every time I stepped in a barbershop, taking one of my exes, and they're getting a haircut, I'm just sitting, just killing time. We're gonna go somewhere else. First thing I hear them talking and saying is,
"It's not gossip grooming. It's men who don't have a voice."
Who asked you? Anyway, so I see them cutting one woman was getting an extension, doing man. Fuck her. I should go watch mine. Like they're talking shit to each other at the fucking salon. I'm like, shit. You guys are worse fucking that part. You guys are worse than us. I'm like, god damn. I'm like, it depends on the salon and the barber. That's one thing we have to keep in mind.
Yeah.
So some barbershops, people don't like bullshit. Like they're mostly talking about sports, movies, whatever.
Yeah.
And some of them you walk in everybody knows each other. Like you said, they're all, they grew up together. The same. You see them once a week at least, whatever. But some of them, you look at them like, shit, what the fuck is going on here?
All right. All right. We may have to have we may either have a guest, have some of the women on. Because again, I don't know what that conversation is like. I just never heard of it. My wife goes, she's like, she stays to herself pretty much because when you're under the dryer, you can barely hear anything or whatever, or she goes to sleep. Or whatever, but I don't hear the women going back and forth. And even the barbershop I was going to, he had, similar to your Greek barbershop, there was a women's section. So the women doing their thing, but it's not it's not nearly as boisterous. I'll say that. If there might be conversation going on, but they ain't going at it we going on hard. Sports, politics, religion, whatever it is.
Like I said,
we going hard all the time, and the octaves go up several levels.
Every time I've been in a woman's salon, I hear them talk shit about each other in there. Oh, why her hair looks like shit. That
Oh
that why she's
gosh.
using an extension. Why
Wow.
she why you dyeing her. I'm like shit. You guys are fucking worse than men sometimes in here. I'm
I
thinking to
got
myself.
that'd be news to me. So again, ladies, I don't know BMU. Maybe the next time you have a ladies talk Tuesday with the ladies or whatever, maybe they could talk about salon chat or whatever. Because I don't know what that experience is like to be
Even
honest with
we
you.
get some women in the chats now. Like, do you guys always talk shit about each other in there, or is it
Yeah,
just my
yeah,
experience?
I've never heard. Says men tend to be more respectful if kids are around. The women have no filter. Okay, it get like that, huh? Wow, wow. But yeah, but as far as like I said, the quote unquote professionalism of it, again, if you want that kind of, again, there's salons by appointment, but again, your appointment may not be on time. Listen, I've never seen it. These guys try to be so strict with that or whatever. They also charge you more, 25, $30, and you got to put the appointment in the app or whatever, and you're still waiting there 30 minutes to an hour. So I don't even know if that even works
See,
that well in that situation.
I've been at barbershops. I get off at 12 or whatever, and tell me, I say get wait in line. That's what this is the biggest reason why after that experience,
Mm,
I make an appointments. Even if
yeah,
I'm like 20 minutes late, I'm okay with that. And usually when they are running late, some in my experience, they usually text me like, "Yo, can you come in an hour late because I'm running behind or whatever
yeah,
the case is." In
right,
my experience, but I
right,
remember going to a barber one time, and it wasn't late in the afternoon, but he was pretty busy, and they told me like, "Dude, we're not gonna be able to cut you. There's no way. We have too many people ahead of you."
right,
And
right.
after that, they left a sour taste in my mouth. Like I'm making a fucking appointments after that.
True.
And I
Yeah.
continued doing appointments since then. I never had an issue. Except the one guy, he cut me for years. And he is very I knew he was a slow cutter, but he did very good work. That's the reason why I keep going back to him.
Right.
So one thing I also have seen, the evolution of barbershops have changed so much over the years.
Mm.
If you remember back in the day, barbershops weren't just getting haircuts, you were getting a shave too. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, in the
Yeah.
morning, you used to go to the shop, every morning. And like,
Hmm.
if you're definitely in an office job, you used to
Hmm.
get a shave at a barber shop usually
Right.
before you went to
Well,
definitely like a lawyer.
yeah. Well, I would say in my again in the black barbershop, I'm not saying there weren't guys who got like the classic shave, like you're talking about getting the single
Hot-
blade and the
Yep,
warm up and the towel and all that.
the hot shave.
That even for me being a Gen Xer, that still is like a very old school type of experience, at least in mine. Now, again,
Absolutely.
guys in the chat, if you know guys who still regularly do those kind of shaves, more times than not, you would if you got to shave, it be with the edge. So when they're doing your edges with the edger, they come down. If you want to get rid of the hair here or whatever, they'll do it here. They'll shape your beard up and things like that, or your goatee. They'll do it there. But as far as guys getting that old school type of shave, that is I would say out of 100 uh, um, times I've been at the barbershop, I might have seen that like maybe like 5 times. It's very rare, but I've seen it more with again the non-black barbershops. So the Italian barbershops are more the white barbershops. I don't see that as much. Maybe it could be a regional thing. Again, I'm in the Northeast. Maybe in the South, for you guys who are down there, maybe it might be more of a practice
Well,
there where a guy gets in there and get a shave. I don't know, but
let me
that's not been my experience for the most
let me ask
part.
a question. I obviously, with you probably manage your um own barbering right now at this point, I assume, right? You don't even
Correct.
go to a barber shop. So how long when's the last time you actually stepped foot in a barber shop?
2019, and I remember it was one of the last time I went. I was already in somewhat of a stressful situation because it was like calling a girlfriend to break up with her. Because the barber I went to him for about 15 plus years. We are good friends, and
Mhm.
him and his father, they're like family to me. But it got to a point where I was getting as low as you can almost get it without going completely bald, but the balding was still continuing. So it was like I got to go bald. But if I was going to go bald, I knew that you get a couple days later, you got the shot already. So it has to be bald all the time. But then also what I started seeing was more of those head shavers, the like the 5 and 6
Yeah, go
head
ahead.
shavers, like the pit bull type of shaver
Yep.
and whatnot. So once I got one of those and I got the technique down, one thing with those shavers that you got to do, you got to have it. You have to do you have to apply a pre-shave
Yeah,
on.
pre-oil shave.
I'm not saying a lot of guys say, "Oh yeah, I got one of those things that didn't work." You have to have a pre-shave thing, either like electric shave, or I use after pre-electric shave. But you have to make the hairs very stiff and hard. If the hair is soft or wet, those things don't work well with wet hair. You have to make the hair stiff and stand straight up, and then the thing glides over your head at that point. It's the big difference.
With my type of hair, I did it after the shower, and it worked for me better.
Yeah, for black hair, at least for most of the guys I knew, anytime I told them use either the electric or the after, they got way better result after they applied it on. It just helps with the glide over the hair, and it captures the hair more easily in the blade. But yeah, I remember that day because again I had to call my man up, and it said, "Look, I'm no longer going to be a customer of yours because I'm going to go do this head shaver thing." And there was a little bit of a pause at the end of the call, but it was like we were so good at it. Was like you came in, it was almost like you look forward to seeing each other because that's the main way we hung out. So when I had to make that call, it was very hard to make. But you're talking, this is like October 2019, and I also meant because it was ahead of the pandemic. So I was fortunate for me that I was into the practice of already shaving my head because odds with the pandemic, you can go to a barbershop. So so definitely, I'm glad I already had that practice in already. But but again, I would pop my head in just to sit down a little bit and hang out. But I wasn't one of those guys. Like I wasn't gonna go and spend 2 hours at a barbershop just to hang out. But it's weird. But when you were going for a cut, you invested the time. So it definitely, like I said, it's like a relationship. It's like when you say we're just friends now. You kind of over time the time before you see each other, it just kind of goes a different way. But yeah. So you're talking late 2019.
For example, my very good friend King. And he's bald for a while. He still goes to barbershop. He loves going there. He gets his head shaved and he gets his beard shaped up. Like Lou just said, a lot of men will still get the beard shaped up and they get
if you want.
It's actually a common practice now, believe it or not. A lot of places have it now. They will wrap the towel, even if you're just getting your face shaved or your head, whatever the case is.
Right.
And it's actually better for your skin, believe it or not, because it opens the pores and you get a closer and better shave.
That's true. Even Lou Medic is talking. Yeah, a lot of bald men go, especially to get for the beard treatments or whatnot. So, but like I said, just in my experience now, Lou, I don't know where you're at. If you're in the Northeast, South, whatever, just put in there where you're at. Because I'm thinking it might be a more of a regional thing as well. I don't know that, but as a boss man confirmed that it's few and far between at least when black men go in there specifically to get a shave. And I'm talking about a shave with that classic single because
if you remember,
there you definitely had to be a license for that. That's for sure. Like guys were going to do that if you weren't you can get away with the clippers. But if you're going to be using a straight up blade, you better have your cosmetology stuff together, or else you can definitely get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say was, remember in December when I shaved my head when I donated my hair?
You look beautiful then, by the way. That was your best look. You were so handsome back then. I'm like, what happened?
Well, I'm getting a lot of compliments now. They say this look is the best one I have so far.
I like it though. Yep.
But when I did it for a good month because I wanted to do some content for the channel and everything. So people told me crazy. You're gonna say I'm crazy too when you hear this. Is I used to shave the head with a straight razor by myself, no mirrors or nothing. I used to put the pre-shave. I use artist shaving. That is the best stuff you can get on the market for shaving.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't care who you are. Black green, it is the best stuff you can use. The pre-oil they made is what made the company.
Right.
So I put that shit on and I just lathered it up in the shower. I go, it was nothing. Literally, to me, it's more a pain in the ass actually because I got a lot more to cover versus you. I'm not sure where your hair growth stops. It doesn't, but I have. To me, it was more a pain in the ass. That's what I was done after a month. I was done with it.
Right.
So, but if I'm gonna do it, me, I go all in. I jump in. head in. I was shaving it. I did everything to it.
Hmm.
It was probably a good idea. I did it in the middle of December, but shit happens.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but again, it wasn't the first time I shaved my head. I'd done it several times.
right,
So like I said, I like changing my look up. I
right.
have less to do it now with that. Saying like the old school shaving, it's changes over the years as time goes on.
Hmm.
I think we're going back and forth with the shaving. Like a lot of barbershops I go to, at least around here, and a couple times I've been in New York, they do the hot shave.
Hmm. Yeah,
So it depends what type of shop it is. I think it is not regional. It depends on the shop.
right,
Like,
right.
mm,
Yeah, I
barber-
agree. And like I said, there's different scales, but at the
yeah,
same time, I think those different scales appeal to different audiences. Like I
in
said,
my
those.
defense,
Yeah.
the barbershops I usually go to are usually Italian people who go in there or Latinos.
Right,
So
right.
maybe that's the factor I'm missing here.
Yeah, I think there's a different cultural dynamic. Now, again, if anybody out there, if you're familiar with some of the Latin ones, I know there's a lot of Dominican, for example, hairstylists in my area. So again, if anybody has some experience with that, I know some black people go to some of the Dominican shops, especially when it comes to women, if they want their hair straightened or whatever, they go there. But I know guys who go there because it's like with Latinos. I mean, again, they're genetically. I mean, they're black and Latin. I mean, this makes if you're Puerto Rican, Dominican, or whatever, you're essentially black,
Make it
if you
makes sense.
will.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have that similar hair texture, and so they're going to be using a lot of similar equipment. The ones where I saw the most distinction, and like you said, the Italian ones. I've never seen a Greek one, but certainly the Italian shops or just the quote unquote white barbershop. That's a different experience that I've seen. And now you have the franchises up now. So you have what's that big
Supercuts?
franchise that what's that?
Supercuts?
Supercuts, and then there's others that are coming up that are kind of offering similar services. Well, that's a question right there. What do you think about those? So again,
I
like
will go in there.
the
I will go.
barbershop was again, it was like it's like the old shoemaker, right? It was about the craftsmanship of the person who was doing it. There was definitely a mom and pop feel to it. Nothing with the franchises, but now you have sort of this new model. And again, I kind of admire the setup. You go in there, they got the sports. It's like you're going to one of those sports bars. It's like you're going to Buffalo Wild Wings, right? They got multiple TV screens with multiple sports that are on, and so it's a different environment than your traditional shop. Maybe it lacks the intimacy that the traditional barbershops have had, but for I don't know, for millennials or the Gen Zers and younger, maybe that might be a more popular place to go. But just your overall impression of these kind of franchise type of shops that are offering all these bells and whistles, and who knows, they may even have video games now. I don't know, but it's
I
play
I've been
Call of
in
Duty while you're getting a haircut. I
very
don't know.
few times when I was younger, when I first moved
Mhm.
to PA. And I always had a bad experience. Never liked them. I never liked the supercut places. Like the
But
franchise,
was it the skills of the barber or the
everything. I
environment, the
did
atmosphere?
not like it. Didn't like it. I just didn't. I
Mhm.
it was like I even when I go to a barbershop now, like I'm usually like one or two people in there, and because it's mostly appointments, so you mostly your barber, but that's it. But even when I went to the old school ones that you just what like you go went to, you just you get there, wait in line, X and so on. Better experience there. I never got a good experience.
Yeah, yeah, and certainly for those in the chat, if you've gone to a place like that, like the Supercuts or some of these again newer trending places, do you like it? At least, what do you like? Some things again. Do you like the sports aspect of it? Because I think that's definitely something that again, you go to, like I say, you go to Buffalo Wild Wings or you go to the bar, like everything is so sports. 20 TV screens. Does that appeal to you, or do you prefer the again the more intimate experience that traditional barbershop would give you?
I
So
personally
that
more intimate, the old school barber look. That's
yeah.
my always look. Like it was like even now barbers like they're going back again, a little old school again. Maybe
Hmm.
because it's a Latino slash white person thing is now they're mostly in dressed up places, like
Right.
where a lot of them were suit and tie to cut you.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
know. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I got you. Go ahead.
No. No, I agree with that. So it seemed like with barbershops, there's at least, like I said, with the more, I guess, the white, I guess, established barbershops. Again, there are tiers. There's different clientele
Hmm.
that they appeal to. Again, the business person, the executive, who knows? I mean, they may even, talk business in there. I mean, there's a different class that's there in those shops. Not as much in the black ones, but what I have seen, they're definitely generational. So again, you got your guy who's like 65 years old, 70 years old school guy with the fro, still doing his thing. He's been doing this for 50 years. And so you have that kind of experience. But then you also have the younger guys. Now, again, the one change that I've definitely seen in recent years, they've definitely somebody for the younger guys. You go in there, the rap music is blasting. It's profane. It's hardcore. It is hip hop. It is very different from, again, the ones where, again, older gentlemen, again, we're talking about sports and politics and all that kind of stuff or whatever. A lot less of that conversation, but it's definitely much more of a experience. Again, if you're not into the beat, hearing the N word and the B word and the whatever, some guys, they just kind of create that kind of hardcore. Guys will still wait. Guys will still, be in there and they'll have some of the experience. But even there, it's going to be a very different experience from maybe some of the older guys, maybe some of the baby boomer / Gen X guys who have a certain atmosphere. Again, certainly no music playing. Like, I haven't been to any barbershop where they're playing music that, again, there might be the sports game on or something, but a lot of times it's dominated by conversation and whatnot. But the younger guys, the hip hop guys, the places that they go, I'm not comfortable in there. That's definitely, I'm a fish out of water. When I was going, a fish out of water going to those type of places, they just, it's just a different
Places
clientele at that point.
I've been up here, they play a lot of jazz music, I realize too,
Mm,
because they don't want to scare some people away because
mhm.
now you're adding different elements. The prices are going up. They're now wearing gloves to cut you versus just barehanded. Again, I
Yeah,
think gloves I am all for because that's my sanitizer thing. Because
right.
when last time you wash your hands, dude? I don't know that. You know what I'm saying? Hoping
But the crazy thing about that is, and again, I'm not saying it's not a good practice. It is.
yeah,
But it's just the things like, you almost feel kind of old when we talk about, oh, well, back in the day we drank water from a fire hose and stuff like that. It's like
exactly.
you never worried about that stuff back in the day, but now everyone's so sensitive to germs and whatnot that it's like, oh, I got to have a mask on, I got to have the gloves on, I got to have the whatever. But those are just things, realities that we just didn't deal with. But I do recognize that, certainly times are different now given what we just came out of.
Yeah, and that the glove thing has been going on before COVID. So barbers will start using because biggest reason they were started using from what I saw they actually because their hands get cracked and then their hairs get between their skin and stuff. It actually gets very painful for them
Hmm.
too. So that's the biggest reason why a lot of barbers start using gloves. Okay, I'll
Hmm.
give you that. It's no big deal. Whatever. Now dressing a little nicer. Okay, I'll give you that too. The jazz music. I'll give. So a lot of them, except the old school. I can't even say old school. I will say more uh, your generation and mine.
Hmm.
They have gotten more business savvy. Like this is if I want to get more clientele in,
Right.
I need to cut out the rap music that I like. I need to put a little more appropriate music, more
Right.
appropriate hair. Like I remember going to barbershops and like it was mostly white coats, like a doctor coat, pretty much over them.
Right. Right. Yeah. The
That was
lab coat.
there
Yeah.
were a few of them that
Yeah.
used to wear maybe black or green or different color. It depends on the shop, but
Mm,
most of them were a white one.
right.
And do you know why they used to wear white? Any chance?
Um, no, actually,
So the story behind it is actually a very history is when they should shave. If they cut you, blood needs to show on their shirt, so they know they cut you by accident. And that's the
okay.
reason why. That's why you have white and red on the sign of the barbershops.
Oh, okay. The candlestick thing.
Yes.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That's interesting. That's
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah. I know
interesting.
it's a kind of fucked up way to put it. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, put me there. Like Sweeney Todd. I mean, if you remember that movie, he was slicing people's throats in the chair.
Right. Right.
But
Yeah.
again,
Yeah. Definitely.
it was that's the one way they prevented, cuts by the white shirt. Obviously, trying to get a blood stain out of the shirt is not the easiest thing in the world back
Right.
then.
Right. Right.
But with even the equipment they're using now, there's so much stuff out there. You got
Mm.
Babyliss, you got Coco, you got so many of these kinds. Like they don't even know where to buy stuff sometimes because there's so much equipment out there. Like before, it was like a wall and maybe one other two companies. That's it.
Yeah.
Now there's so much stuff out there that we can pick up cheap too, like
Right.
a good Babyliss clippers and trimmer and liner. You're looking at $300 and you're done. You got all the barber and everything.
Right. 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 Yeah. I mean, definitely. Well, yeah. I mean, that says, and like I already talked about the head shavers that are out also that guys tend to use. So do you think the just overall, do you think the business has gone down in terms of just customers, one, given the cost, because again, you're not going to a barber for $10-12 haircut anymore, and secondly, just with the tools that are available now, more guys are cutting their own hair or getting their girlfriend to cut their hair. I mean, or their wife, kind of gets pretty good at doing that. So is that something that you're seeing people, overall making an exodus because of those reasons?
Actually, the
Just the
opposite.
technology's gotten better.
I think the opposite. I think people want more high-end cuts
Mm.
because they're paying already $20. Why not just throw another 20 and get a great experience? And like I see a lot of people. The biggest complaint I hear is they're sitting in a chair, even for a $20 haircut, and they walk there jacked, fucked up.
Yeah.
That is the biggest problem. You tell
Yeah.
me it's simple, like simple is like I want a high skin fade, blended side back, comb over, a hard part. Very simple, very
Right.
simple. Fucked up just like that. Very
Yeah.
hard it is. I remember the one place I went to. I was growing my hair at the time, before I made BMU family, and I did first of all shave up the beard. I had the long beard, trim the sides a little bit, and just kill the dead ends.
Yeah.
Dead side fine, but my beard got jacked. Not to the
Wow.
point I had to shave. I was able to save it, thank God.
Right.
But my neckline was all fucked up and everything. So I just let it go and grow it back out again.
Right.
I was so I think people got tired of it. So the high price, meaning more experience, they're hoping. That's not always a factor, but 9 out of 10 times, most people who are paying $50, $60, they're not gonna pay somebody who's been doing it for only a couple of years. They want the master barbers who work there. That's why they're able to charge that much too.
Right. Right.
If that makes
But
sense.
again, that $50-$60, you're saying that includes the beard and the shave, or just the beard
Cut,
grooming?
shave, eyebrows, and hot shave is like you're getting 4 services. The
Okay.
haircut, the hot shave, my eyebrows getting shaped up, beard shaped up too, and a hot shave. Usually the hot
Gotcha.
shave and the beard is kind of combo, like $15, $20 kind of thing. It depends where you go.
Yeah. For those in the chat, especially for the black people in the chat, again, I've been out of the shop for a while. So, what do you think is the average cut net for certainly for the haircut? You can get your beard trimmed or edged or whatever. What are you looking at? Is it 25, 30? Are you paying at this point $50, $60 now? Are we up to that point right now? I've been out of the game for a while. So, for those who still get cuts now, I'm just curious on what the pricing is like.
Does anybody from the chat gets the hot shave in a black barbershop? I'm curious now. Like,
no, well, again, one of the guys, he said it's rare. Like I said, it's very rare, and again, the person who gets it is generally an older person. I don't see a lot of I don't see the Gen Zers getting that. Yeah, 40. Yeah, that's definitely even within the last couple of years. Well, the last time I was in there, I think I might have been paying 15 tops. But again, I was pretty simple. I also wasn't getting a lot of specialty. It was either just cut it low and just keep it high and tight, pretty much. So I didn't. But 40. I mean, that's and again, and how often are you going? So I mean, guys are going. I for a while I could get away with going like every 2 weeks. But again, as my hair started to thin out and whatnot, I was going every week. So I actually even worked out a deal with my barber to say, hey, if I come to you every week, can you give me a cheaper price if I come to you every week? And we were able to negotiate a deal. So again, $20, 25 for a haircut, 40 for the haircut and beard in New York City, Brooklyn. That's so Blake David. So yeah, so that's, And again, how often are you 25 minimum, but you leave a 10 to 15 dollar tip? That's pretty good. You get a hot shave. Also, Lou, you're an old soul. What can I tell you? That's he's an old soul right there. He's getting the hot shave.
Bro. If you still have connected barber, just ask him to give you a hot shave on your head. You start going again. I promise you $100 on that.
No, I totally get it's an experience. Now again, for you guys, how often are you going? All right, so you're going. This is every week. Is this every 2 weeks? I mean, what's the routine now? Because again, if you got money like that, for some people that becomes a major expense. I know taking care of yourself, like grooming. I understand that being very important. But are you that guy who's putting in like $200 a month on your on your maintenance? Now I know single parent supporter. Now she's saying I started trimming hair myself many years ago, so I have no idea the cost. Yeah, I mean once I got out of going, like I said, I think 15 was the most I was spending on a haircut. So when guys talk about $40 and up, that's that's definitely the only guys who used to charge that were the salons. But again, like I said, the guys who tried to be, these guys would advertise themselves like, oh, like I go to the, I do celebrity haircuts and stuff like that. So if you want my services or whatever, yeah, it's going to charge you something. Yeah, I mean, but no better haircut from those guys than going to the OG barbershop on the corner, in my opinion, anyway. So all right, so Lou, shout out to Lou. So he goes every 2 weeks, right? Mm-hmm. Which is pretty standard. But now Lost, he says he's been cutting his own hair since '92. That's what's up. That's why he that's why who he is, man. So again, you probably save a ton of money in doing that.
I go every 4 weeks, once a month. That's a good average time with my hair growth. I don't want to be one of those guys like, okay, I go every 2 weeks and it's like, okay, it's barely nothing to cut there, and I'm just spending money for no reason. Yeah. So I wanted to actually get a cut and get look fresh again.
Yeah.
So I know people go every week because they like their hair very short.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you want to maintain, especially if you're gonna rock the ball look, that's why even your boy King, he said he goes, he still goes and gets the head shaved. Mm-hmm. If you want to keep that look all the time, if you don't want the 5 o'clock shadow, if you don't want to see the recesses, seeing where the bald spots are and whatnot, if you want to keep that on day, see, I could shave my head twice a day if I want to. But if you don't want that, then yeah, you're gonna have to go. You're gonna have to go more often. Otherwise, you're gonna have to deal with those issues. Let's say if you got your hair cut in the morning, but then you're going out in the evening, you got that 5 o'clock shadow. A lot of guys, you don't want to do that. So you got Trey Ferg, gentlemen. I've cut and shaved my hair and beard since I was 14 years old. Mom got me a first pair of clippers, made an average of $25 to $50 as a hobby. So again, this is certainly this is something. Yeah, I have clippers older than you got them old Andes. You got another brand I lost. What brand clippers you rocking? So but yeah, you got to do the maintenance. You got to unscrew them, take them out, soak them in the solution, lube them up, and all that. So it's a work. But yeah, but a lot of guys, like I said, there's a lot of underground. Because again, like I said, in New Jersey, you need to be licensed to cut hair. You got to have that cosmetology usually. But underground, yeah, you can make a ton. I know guys in college, they made a ton of money cutting hair and whatnot. Your roommates or whatever. So I get it. And then that's definitely something. That's definitely something what we do. And even the wife school, she talks about she cuts her own hair, and that her boy's hair. So again, saving a ton of money. But and certainly in our communities, again, hair maintenance in general. I don't want to even get into what black women spend on their hair most of the time, and that's the ones who if you're doing the weaves and the all the other stuff. I mean, hair can get very costly. But even for some brothers out there, some like the experience of getting that grooming. But some guys, if you learned early and young, you get it going yourself. I cut my own hair for a while because again, I had I just kept it low and I just kept it even. I just ran the clippers just all the way around. And but my brother was like, "Man, you need to go to a barber." It's like, "What's wrong with my hair?" It's like, "Oh, it doesn't look right. You need to go to a barber." So so again, some guys are the professional wall seniors. So he's got the old school wall. So that's what's
And
up.
they're actually a very good brand, believe it or not.
Yeah.
They're cheap now,
They've been
they're
around
not high
forever.
end,
They've
but
been
they're a
around
good brand.
forever. So
So
$90 for buying the hair at least. Yeah. Yeah. If you're talking about, especially weaves and whatnot, it gets crazy with the hair costs out there. So
totally
it's
agree. I'm not
definitely,
denying that. Some
yeah.
products are way overboard. And some products shouldn't even touch your hair. Like gel is horrible for your fucking hair.
Hmm.
Like, people don't even buy that shit anymore. Like how expensive, how bad it is, or like chemicals. But my point is trying to get to, even the barber scene has changed so much over the years.
Hmm.
Like even walking into it now, is a barber. I think I can't remember, it's in Cali or Los Angeles, and I'm gonna get a lot of comments on this one. So get ready, guys, on the keyboards because I'm ready for
Yeah.
this one.
And
There
India,
is
again, thank you for joining us tonight as well. Good to see you out there. Go ahead.
So there is a barbershop that is old women that cut men, but it's
Hmm.
a catch how to get the men in there.
Oh,
They
with the
do it
topless?
topless,
The Hooters of barbershops right there. Right, so.
literally. And okay, like I don't see the big deal about it. I think it's like stupid.
Hey,
Each
you get
their
all
own.
kinds. You get all kinds. Yeah, but yeah, topless barbers. Yeah, I'm sure they get a lot. I'm sure they get their share of clientele there.
Pretty good tips too.
Oh my
No
gosh,
fun
I'm
intended,
telling
by the
you.
way.
Yeah, yeah. But I want to, and we got again about a half hour of the show. Again, thank you all for joining us tonight. Seems like we've got a packed house in the chat. Really appreciate you guys, stopping by and seeing us tonight as we talk about the barbershop experience. So we talk about what it means to us culturally, what it means to us in terms of just your regular grooming practices. But I wanted to kind of take a step back and look at style. You talked about the styles
Hmm.
that you typically see with Greeks. So you got your comb over, you have your long hair. I think there was another style that you had mentioned. I think there was at least three of them.
The spiky hair.
Spiky, right? The spiky
Yeah.
hair. So talk about from a Greek perspective.
Hmm.
Talk about $200 per cut. Yeah, full service. I mean, so again, it runs the gamut based on your lifestyle, based on your income, based on and at the end of the day, what you think you deserve. Because
I
for a
think
lot of
200,
people,
no offense, loss is that's a lot of fucking money.
it
So
is, but there's
60, I
some
bet about.
people, it's someone told me about like a while ago, like especially when you're up there making that kind of money, when you have that kind of
Give a shit, really.
clientele, it's about the value of the service. Like their time becomes so valuable that that's the only way they can justify doing it. Because for some of these guys, they lose $200 if they don't if they go for a haircut. So the only thing that a lot of times that gets them going, it's like with even personal training. So as you know, I've done personal training. Now I've heard
Yeah.
trainers say, "Look, I need to charge for certain clients. You need to charge them like $200 an hour for a session because they won't value. If I charge them 35, $40 or $50 for a session, they won't value it because again, they're so into the money. You definitely it's not worth it. They have to justify taking an hour off because they know they could be making a lot more money when they're in the marketplace. Now, Loss is also saying it's a private service, so that also means that again, nobody in shop but you or some. I know some of these guys travel. Now, again, if you're one of those travelers, like I said, I know a lot of these celebrities, they have their barbers like with them, so they go on tour with the celebrity or the basketball player, whoever it is, to keep them looking sharp for games or whatnot. So,
Give you a great example on that.
yeah,
WWE. Every time you see these wrestlers come out, you never see them like between haircuts. They're always very
right,
fresh look.
right,
It makes me think, well, how is that? So a little behind the scenes that I know because I'm a big wrestling fan.
right,
They have a barber on staff before they shoot up or anything. They get a cut every time. So it's really rare when you see them change looks. When
right,
they change look, they're off the air for a long period of time for the hair to grow
right,
back or the beard to
right,
grow back, whatever the case is.
right,
They know, okay, I'm gonna take a break for a while, but when I come back, I'm gonna change my look.
right,
Like Randy Orton shaved his head he's been shaving his head for years, for example.
yeah,
Or Zayn, he went from a short a side comb over to a long bushy hair. So
right,
he was off the air for a while, but when he came back, you saw the growth right into it. Like, oh, okay, I see where it goes here.
Right.
Or H, a great example. His beard, he makes sure he's on point. He's not on camera a lot, but now when he's on camera, his beard is always on point.
Right.
Just
right.
and he has a good amount of hair. He always had great hair because of remember he had his hair down long.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the wrestling look. A lot of wrestlers have the long hair.
Right. Right.
Well,
now Lost. Yeah, Lost. But let me two things I want to kind of wrap the show. Want to go back to a point that Lost is making about the guy who's charging $200 a service. Again, it's a private service that he gets. So again, you're not in a barbershop with a bunch of people, but there's a business aspect here that bears paying some attention on, because again, barbershops traditionally have been kind of like mom and pop type of operations or whatnot. You're in the community, it's local, but you do see certain barbers, hairdressers in general. Like it used to be, okay, well, I'm a hairdresser, but that in your mind, you got a certain image in your mind. It says I'm a barber, I'm a hairdresser, whatever. It's like, okay, kind of average type of income type of person. But I know some people are starting to use different business models now to increase revenues or whatnot. So, I mean, even as a business, I guess like this guy here, if you do it right, it can be very lucrative. But again, you got to find the right audience. You got to find the right, because a lot of that business is also reference based. So it's like if you get the one big one and that guy starts putting you up, say, hey, you need to go see my man or my girl, this, that, and the third, it can be very lucrative. Now, we don't oftentimes talk about that as a business to go into. We talk about entrepreneurship and whatnot. There's a lot of people who think of themselves as, well, I'm a beautician or I'm a barber or I'm a hairdresser, but they don't necessarily get the business of it. Like most of their work is actually in the chair doing the business, but there is a business model that I think some people like this gentleman that Lost talked about that are taking it to another level where you can make six figures easy if you get the right business model. But some guys aren't interested in that or not willing to do that kind of grind. But I think people are starting to employ different practices now, business practices, to not only secure clientele, keep people on the regular. Now they're using apps to remind you your haircut's coming up or whatever. You can book online or through your phone apps. They're using all kinds of creative ways certainly to get notice and to leverage their business. And certainly if you can get to a point where you can hire other people, because again, if you really want to be out of the mom and pop hand to mouth feeding, you're gonna have to get to a point where you get a crew of people working for you that you can expand on. It's one thing to be an Uber driver, but if you get a line of Ubers, then that's another thing. But you might be starting to get more into the franchise model at that point. But what do you think about the business aspect of it? That you may have seen change over the last few years. We always talked about the franchise model, which you're not necessarily a fan of, but other people are getting creative in terms of ways to not only make money, but be very profitable and make a hefty income with it, where it's not, so easily dismissed. Oh, he's just a barber. But look, barber can be making more than a lot of professionals out there if he does it right. So what do you think about that?
I actually just looked it up. Barbers, they can start out the first couple of years when they come out between 30 to 55,000, and they can go up to 160,000. So it depends on your location has a big part of it. So I've seen a lot of things change practice wise. Like I've seen a couple guys do mobile barbering, meaning they have a van, they convert in the back, and has a whole barbershop back there, like washing hair, everything, like a regular barber. But I also see a lot of them too now. Some are bringing some women in there to start braiding, because a lot of guys are still braiding their hair. Throwing that. Obviously, you cannot beat a good woman braider versus a man braider, because they grew up doing it. What I'm saying?
Right.
So practice has definitely changed. The way they attack, the angle of attack has changed completely.
Right.
Like I know it's one shop I used to go to is he started with one shop. Now he has three in my area.
Yeah.
3 shops.
Yeah.
And he's doing great for himself.
Yeah, it's like I said. I think for certain people, again, and I don't think it can be for everyone. It's like just business in general. Not everyone makes it, but I think there's certainly a lot of people who want to, have again more customized services, more flexible schedules and whatnot. Again, really be client driven more so than just having the barbershop sign over and just hoping someone just meanders into your shop. So again, they have a full service shop here called the Mail Room, and it's just for executives. You can get a manicure and everything. So yeah, so again, these custom shops for the high end person, for the executive. So that's like the smokers rooms, for the hot tub lounges. Again, people will pay for premium service, the spa treatments type of experience, rather than just the getting the haircut and chopping it up with everybody. And you do have a clientele that wants to be now in the black barbershops. Oftentimes, the one thing that's always been that again has been a part of my experience, that might be changing, or it might be getting more prominence now. In the barbershop, you left your status at the door. You know what I'm saying? It didn't matter if you were a businessman, an executive. It didn't matter if you were a pastor. It didn't matter if you were a mechanic or whatever. When you got into the barbershop, everybody was kind of like the same. Everybody related the same. No one had this ego. No one had that kind of thing. I mean, there was always respect, but you didn't come in with that kind of energy. In fact, for the executive, a lot of times, it was almost a way for the executive to be like, humbled a little bit, you know what I mean? Like sort of back to your roots, or staying connected to your base. You might have come from that. You worked hard. You got yourself into another stratosphere in terms of income and whatnot. But the barbershop keeps you grounded, But there are those shops where, again, they want that executive, private, custom grooming, tailored experience for themselves. And people are willing to pay that. And so, again, they get those extra services that you're not typically going to get in the regular barbershop. There is more personalized attention. And you, again, it's how you feel about, ultimately, how you feel about yourself coming out. So there is a market for that. Some people are very specific in terms of who they target. Like I said, the traditional barbershop, open your doors, spin the barber candlestick or whatever, and whoever comes in. But there's some people are very strategic. Yep, politicians love the regular barbershop, but again, some of these other guys, they like going right, because the politician, they want to have their feet on the ground in terms of what the people are thinking. Again, and that's if they truly care about the people. But you got some guys who are like, they want to be treated special. And so you have those kind of gentle, and then again, everything changes, right? You can go to a strip club, or you can go to the gentleman's club, right? They say there's a difference in terms of how people process that kind of experience. But to your friend though, he's definitely he's found a niche and a model that worked that he's been able to capitalize on. Unfortunately, a lot of these hairdressers and stylists and whatnot, a lot of them they'll never get out of the basement of their homes, and that's kind of
No, like I had a friend of mine who did a mobile barbershop. He bought a van, he converted, and that's what he's doing now. How profitable it is, I have no idea, to be honest with you.
Right,
So,
right.
That's a good question. But a mobile barbershop sounds like a pretty cool idea, because if you're like a business owner and can't get away from office, but you have 30 minutes for your lunch break, you can squeeze a quick cut in too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Mobile. Some guys go to. I know guys that, in fact, my office, they'll have guys come in and have hours. Like he'll set up in one of the offices in the office building or whatnot. If you want to get a cut on your lunch break, or some grooming service or whatever on your lunch break, yeah, they try to allow those things to happen. So definitely it's there's different ways you can work it. A
lot of gyms also have barbershops now in there too. The gym we went together, Muscle Inc., he had 2 locations. The Strasbourg location has a barbershop in there.
Yeah.
So,
Joshua Jones in the chat tonight. I like what he said. He said he's a bit picky about the barbers. If the guy isn't 60 years old, he's not touching my hairs. I get it. He wants the guy with the silver hairs. They have mobile barbershops and laundry rooms from the home for the homeless. Wow. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
And here's another thing, a business practice a lot of barbershops are doing now. If they're very successful and they want to grow even more,
Yeah.
they open a school too. Some of them,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
they have they tackle both sides of it. You
Right.
teach and cutting,
Right.
so you can
But
make money
but you
both
still got
ends,
to go for your certifications is usually through the state, so they still have to go through that if they
of
want to get
course.
that. Yeah. If not the state, the county that they're in, or something to that.
Yeah,
Something to that
yeah.
impact.
I know you
But I
have
want.
to. Yeah, if you're under a school, you have to cut in the school for so many hours before you go for your license, at least in PA. I'm not sure about any other state.
Right. Right. Gotcha. But we got about 15 minutes left of the show, so I want to kind of go back in time a little bit. So I started the question before I saw the comments. Um, so you talked about the spiky, you talked about the comb over, you talked about the long hair and whatnot. Can you take me back in time a little bit um, to the difference? Has there been an evolution in style of, at least in the Greek community, over the years?
Absolutely.
Uh, so take me back a little bit. So I can go back to the '60s, like with the black hair. So again, you had, guys back in the day, they would do the conks in the '40s and '50s, and then they went to the shorter haircuts in the '60s. We went to the fros in the '70s. We went to the Jerry curls and the whatnot in the '80s. Guys start getting dreads and braids in the '90s and so on. So there's always been a sort of an evolution of hair. Like I said, even in the '80s and '90s, the bald look, like as an intentional look, moving away from the Sherman Hemsley, George Jefferson type of haircuts. Certainly there was a move from that. So certainly there's a spectrum of different hairstyles that certainly even today that certainly black men tend to wear. But certainly we've seen this sort of evolution over time of different cuts. So can you explain then from the Greek perspective, what have you seen over time? Like you can look, okay, this is a Greek haircut from the '80s, this is a Greek haircut from the '90s or the '70s or whatever. I always imagined, at least any pictures I've seen of Greeks, the Greek hair was always curly. That was like the thing: dark hair, black hair, curly hair, kind of long or whatever. So it's definitely something that there's been like a stereotypical type of look, but definitely an evolution from what you're saying. So if you want to just talk a little bit about that, like, so growing up, what did you see? What was a typical Greek man rocking in
So
the?
the whole curly hair thing is more a myth. I want to say is like that's
Okay,
they started with ancient Greeks with the pictures and stuff like this. How they drew people back then. I think is just stuck over the years. So I have seen different styles. Like a lot for a while it was like big flows. It was a lot of the I would say like our paint generation, the flow haircuts that had the big poof. Man used to do like the Happy Days kind of style. Um,
mm,
but a lot of men, I mean, like I say, 95% of men went for the comb over. That is every Greek's favorite one. Every Greek's mother will say, "Man, I hate that fucking haircut. Just do the comb over already." That's why they call it the classic cut. If you go sit in a barbershop in Greece, you ask for a classic cut. That's all you ask. You don't have to ask for a comb over. You say a classic cut. Simple.
mm-hmm.
So the classic
Comb
cut
over, got
is that's it.
right,
That one has been going on from generation after generation. It was clean shave too. No, maybe a few people work the mustache, but that's it.
right, right. And again, have there been others? Like, was there like a prominent style, like when you were back in? So again, take yourself back to high school, into your early 20s or whatever. Like, so was there like trends? Was there like a trendy style? Like also like with the black community, like with the hairstyles, parts used to be a big thing certainly back in the '70s and back in the '80s. You would have a part in your hair, either on the left or the right, or you have one that's slanted. You went from the middle to the side. I know Mike Tyson used to wear one back in the day, like that. So again, there's been things that you saw back then that you maybe don't see as much anymore. So again, have you seen those kind of trendy styles that were maybe been popular for a while, or maybe for a summer or two? All the Greek boys got this hairstyle or whatever that just kind of went away.
Spiky hair. That was the most popular thing you saw in Greece. People who
Mhm.
shave the heads around it like a nice skin fade and spiked it up. That was the thing.
So they kind of got, so to me, it almost sounds like the Jersey Shore look, right? Like Paulie D and all those guys from the Jersey Shore. It seems like it's one of those trends with the gel and the gym tan and laundry and stuff. That's kind of what it sounds like to me.
Similar, yes, similar but different too. It was
Mhm.
like I'm trying to think what could like somebody that we know popular. I can't remember anybody like it was. I would say Ronnie had the closest one to it from the Jersey
Ronnie.
Shore. From the Jersey
Okay,
Shore.
got it. Yeah, yeah.
So Polly's like his hair is a little more crazy than anybody because his is like beyond gel like crazy. I'm surprised he still has fucking hair, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
But the spiky look was a very popular look back then. Like
Mhm.
I'm actually trying to find any pictures I could get. Just can't find anything right now online. Is it for here's a better one. In sync. Some of the in sync characters used to rock the spiky hair look.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the closest thing I can like. It was very, very popular back then.
Mhm.
Like everybody used to rock it. And it was here popular for a little bit too, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, I would think so. Well, like I said, NSYNC, they were pretty big over here. And like I said, I remember that whole, like you said, shaved on the side, gelled up, spiked hair. That was definitely something that I think the Jersey Shore. I think that whole thing with those guys. I think that definitely brought, I guess, the best of the words of the stereotype out. Certainly for Italian men or Greek men or whoever tried to model after that stuff. I think they kind of took it to such an excess there that it almost became humorous in terms of how they had it. They took it to like it's like a caricature of the
Oh yeah.
of the style more so than the style itself.
Yeah, they used to call it a fucking if you went to the barbershop, you wanted the poly cut or the Ronnie cut or the situation cut. And that's where they used to sit in the barbershop.
That's what you you would go to the shop and say, I want the
I never
situation cut.
got those cut. I heard people got that's what they used to call it because they made it so
They got
popular.
haircuts named after him.
I remember the one point when in the 90s, late 90s, when people were getting all this hair grown out and they used to put up literally like a Dragon Ball Z character. I don't even remember what it
Yeah,
was called. But
right,
I saw a lot of Greeks were doing that for one point. I'm like, what the fuck is that shit?
right.
And it was just to me, it was like that's a little bit too much. I felt.
Yeah, yeah.
It is too. Sometimes some looks are too much. Like, okay, you see me in different styles. You have seen me already with long hair, long beard.
Yeah.
You see me with shaved head, long beard. You see me shaved everything. You see me in this look. A lot of people have told me already, like the long beard looks good, but this look I'm doing right now is the best that fits my
And
shape.
I must say it's a very handsome look. Oh, no kidding aside, it's a
Thank you.
very handsome look. I like the shave
Aw.
size and I like the so
No.
like I said, no beef here. We
No,
but I
Listen,
must say
I
probably
always stay out public very well right now. I don't care what shit you come to my way. I am very comfortable telling a man that look is not good for you, buddy. You need to change your look around, and,
Right.
and that's nothing wrong with that.
right.
So we're here to up everybody up. If you're at 5, let's get you to 10,
Hmm.
and so on. And if I
Gotcha.
feel our look is like our pain, great example. He was clean shaved for how long, and now he has a beard. I think looks better with a beard. Like I think all men look better with beards, but what type of beard look better?
Yeah.
Like a
Right.
short beard or long beard or whatever.
Right.
I'm using our pay for example. I think the style he wears it fits his face. That's the thing. You have to pick what kind of the style looks great on your face.
Right.
Like
Right.
as much as I love my long hair and everything, like it just maintenance is a pain in the ass,
Hmm.
and I'm getting a lot more compliments. Like when I had my long hair, it was like too much sometimes, and like
Yeah.
I think as much compliments. Like I'm looking in the mirror, like
Yeah,
and
but it's
call me.
so the look you're rocking now, it's fresh, it's modern. It goes in a lot of different settings. You can go into an office with that. You can go into on a date with that. I think it just compliments you. It's not something where you can show up. The mom's gonna be impressed with you. Whatever. You're not gonna like who's the dude with the long hair, or whatever, or something like that. But I think it's a very handsome look that you've been able to cultivate.
Yeah. The only thing I would probably change to this is that I would want to grow the hair maybe another inch, and it'll fit very well in my style.
Gotcha.
And I'll be honest, like it's grown on me. I'm starting to like this more. Like I might rock this for at least through the summer and decide what I want to do after.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's the
Absolutely.
benefit.
I think.
Again, no hate. That's a benefit of having facial hair and hair. You can do so many different looks too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can have fun with it.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
but I would say just going back, just me talking about the different hairstyles over the years, I probably have to say, just for nostalgia purposes, I think the '80s might have been the greatest generation for hair. I mean, that was almost like the explosion in. So you had the crazy rock star kind of hair, you had the spiked hair. You had the brothers with the waves and the parted wave to the side and whatnot. Towards the late '80s, you had the box cut. Any brothers out there used to have like the Kid and Play box high top box whatever. For those of you guys still in the chat, what's the craziest hairstyle you ever rocked back in the day or whatever? But it just seemed like in the '80s, I think you start to see this freedom. It kind of started in the '70s, like I said, with black men getting the afro. I think the afro was definitely something that, where people really started to express themselves, both men and women, through the afro. But I think the '80s took it to a new level. Again, we had the Jerry curl craze, the Soul Glow phase back then. But I think it was like an explosion of people really expressing themselves in their hair. The multicolored hair, the girls would get the pink hair and the rocky, glam type of hair and whatnot. So I just think, if you go back to, if anybody who went to high school in the '80s, go back to your yearbook and just look at the hairstyles from that era, and you'd be like, oh my gosh, the haircuts that the women used to ride back in the day. So I think the '80s is probably my favorite to remember because again, you just never knew what people were coming up with. But I think that really got people really thinking about hair in different ways. I mean, remember you had the Cyndi Laupers with the crazy hair and the checkerboard side shaved cut and everything, and everybody thought, oh my gosh, this is going to ruin America. We can't have Cyndi Lauper out there. It was that bad when she was out. A lot of folks went crazy when Cyndi Lauper was rocking hair like that. So that I just have fondness for that era. I don't know if you have a fond era for hair, but that was definitely mine.
More the buzz cut. The buzz cut in the '90s was everybody was getting it. It went from everybody went from the spiky to the buzz cut. Everybody was doing. I remember a lot of people were just like doing a low type buzz cut. And but you saw it's so different, like the zigzags, and your name was written in it, all that stuff. Like that was some skill to put that in. It's not that easy to do that sometimes.
Wow. Yeah, my man Lou Medic said back in the day he had the Gumby Bobby Brown and the Kid and Play back in the day. So I just asked, were you rocking those baggy, like the Hammer pants also, the real baggy ones that you did the Running Man in? I'm just curious. Did you have that kind of look going on as well? But yeah, I mean, back then mine might have been at the time, I think when I was in college, I might have got to 3 inches tall. I think I didn't go 6 inches like crazy like that, but I did. I was rocking the high Kid and Play type of high one for a minute there, but yeah, it was just a fun time. And and he had those MC Hammer pants on also, so you were definitely back from the '90s for sure. But that I think that was definitely a time when people really took the rules off. And people started experimenting, with their hairstyles and whatnot, and there was just so many different looks that was certainly, if you go back to like MTV and just what that, what that medium, what that brought in terms of how people started expressing themselves. So certainly I do have a lot of fondness and attention for the '80s because of that. But yeah,
Even
certainly.
the slick back was a thing for a while too, if you remember.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Her back and shave the sides. Well, that was it wasn't a bad look.
Yeah. But I always associated it with like James Bond bad guys. You know what I mean? Like anytime you had like a James Bond movie, like the henchman, right? You always had the henchman in the James Bond movie. Some of those guys always had those slick back hairs or whatever, chasing after James Bond or something like that. So I always associated that look with those kind of guys. Definitely that was like your sophisticated bad guy look back then.
And then you had some weird haircuts, like oh man, I'm forgetting the actor's name who played in Hawkeye. He did the mohawk kind of look, but it was a more blowout. And
Yeah,
that was like unique, and that was like I remember when the movie came out, a lot of people got it, and they're like, "Oh my god, what did I just fucking do?"
yeah,
It wasn't a really good look for a lot of people,
right.
believe it or
Now
not.
that I could see I could see you in a mohawk back. Did you rock? I mean, a full
Oh,
mohawk. Did you rock?
I rocked the mohawk very well, actually.
I could see
Like,
you doing that.
yeah, but I did a short mohawk. So how I used to do it, I started the line thing like Mr. T. That was me. I looked like I was like a rat tail on my goddamn face. And so, all right,
Oh,
that was a bad idea. So I tried another one. And so me and my barber experimented with it. So what we did, we went from here and into the V in the back, but we
right,
kept to like a 1 to 2 inches. That was
right.
a perfect look for me. But then I started dating a girl, and she goes like, "Yeah, that gotta go, I'm like,
Yeah,
dude. That's gotta go." So what
yeah,
I went for a while was I just kept the top and I just shaved the rounds and had
right.
like a 1 or 2 on top and just call it in. Barbers just look at me like, "What?"
Yeah.
But it
But that's
fade
another.
very
But that
well.
was another look from the '80s, especially when you had Mad Max came out. You
Mhm.
had all those guys looking like the biker guys and whatnot with the spike mohawk especially. I mean that was definitely something out of the Mad Max movies back in the day. So yeah, so like I said, it was just a fun time where people, like I said, they really expressed themselves through their hair. And but so as Lou says, my aunt gave me the fun. Man, Lou Malou has gone everything. So he had the Gumby haircut. He had the S curl look. He had the mohawk. Man, Lou's been through it, man. So you're gonna have to post a photo album with all these looks that Lou had throughout the
Actually,
eras, man. You went through it all, bro.
that reminds me, I do have the picture of me when I had my mohawk. Hang on a second. Let me
Oh
put on my
man, you show that. Oh my
I
gosh,
gotta show some let's go down memory lane really fast. Let's see.
that should be interesting. But again, once again, everyone, just as he's bringing the picture up again, thank you for hanging out with us tonight. And again, from a personal note, again, thank you everybody for your support for me and my family in this difficult time. But again, as you see at the bottom there, you see our Cash App. So again, anything you give us, we'd appreciate. But again, consider supporting the network, becoming a member of the BMU network, and certainly dropping the Cash App. It really helps the show, the algorithm, and it helps just the network in general. So yeah. So Laws tells about he's rocking that Jerry,
All
rocking that
right.
Jerry fade. So
I am
you
warning
got
people now. If you have kids, better get them out of the room right now because I'm not gonna be responsible for what happens here. So, yeah. All right, let's hit it. David, wake up back there and hit the goddamn. There we go.
okay.
That was the first version.
That's a very handsome look
Yeah,
right there.
actually,
Oh wow.
yeah. That's the second version.
Okay.
Yeah, I look very young. I know.
Right.
Um, like I went through versions. Like if you see my hair, it changes. Like from here, I used to just buzz my hair right here at one point
Right. Right.
to like here, for example. Again, different looks. And I was skinnier too back then too. Believe it or not, this is my best friend. See how his hair wasn't greased?
Yeah,
This is
got the
literally in
spiky.
grease.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
how it was flat top and a spike in front. That was a style for a little
Yeah, it
bit.
said that's very Jersey Shores. That's very Italian. That's very good.
Exactly.
I don't know if I'd say Guido. That's very Guido. It looks like in that pic.
Let me see if I can find anything else. And this is another look I was doing. I was shaving the sides. And I
Oh,
was
so that like so you went to a bros barbershop for that. So that's almost like the Caesar.
I'm not sure what you guys will call it. I always called it just my version of a military cut. That's why I
Right.
called it because I had no name.
Right.
When I used to tell them like I went shave the sides and keep it. I'm like they used to like, I'm like what? And when they were done with it, like oh this actually looks really good on you. I'm like yeah, my face hair always changed. Like you can see,
Right.
like this is probably one of the few times I actually shaved my whole face. I
See,
don't
you could
know,
go with all
right?
these different looks, man. You could be like one of those FBI or CIA agents or whatever. You just rock a different look. You get the mustache, the beard on, and whatnot, because no one's gonna recognize you.
Dude, that's when I shaved my face. it was like 3 4 years ago. I mean, clean shave completely.
Right.
The freaking I got ID for cigarettes. I'm like, seriously? Like, yeah, it's not a good look for me. Like different facial, like ours.
That's
This is a
nice.
very old style. Nobody
That's
does that
nice.
look anymore.
Yeah, they
But
do.
it is nice. It is a nice style. I'm not denying
Show,
that.
hey, show Lumatic that. Look, he's got this guy. He's got the goatee beard lined up. Uh,
Chin strap. No, it's called a chin strap.
Chin strap. Yeah. Now people still rocking that today. That's not an old look.
I don't really see it. I have not seen it in a very long time. That kind of look.
Mhm.
It's
Oh,
like,
show that one with the glasses on. That's kind of similar to what you're rocking now, right?
this is where
That's
start
considered like
growing
a
my
comb
hair.
over.
Yeah, so this is where I start growing my hair to that into this.
Okay.
Eventually, because back then I didn't know as much as hair because I really beat the shit out of my hair back then.
Right.
That eventually turned into this. That was the look I was rocking for a good 2 years, to be honest.
Right.
Like, and I did. Yes, I came out of the shower here. So if you want to hear something, just here you go, right here. See some hair right there.
And that red area is that red area on the other side. Is that when you talk about your karate instructor ripped your hairs out or something like that? Is that
No,
that part of that?
actually, further. That's my birthmark, believe it or not.
Oh, okay.
I have a birthmark, from right here. Like there's like a huge spot,
Right. Got it.
and it's just there. So, but it is the same. Hang on. No, okay. Is it? Yeah, it's just on the same side where my birthmark is, where I'm missing. I was permanently waxed that I will never grow a hair there ever again. Like if you see, like I always fuck with my hair like crazy. Way.
Mhm.
Yeah, I look like Bam Bam. I'm like I always did crazy stuff like like this is the look that people like me like maybe this length tops
Mhm.
with the length of hair like that. Like that's the look. It looks
Right.
really well. People keep telling me. I'm like,
Right.
you know what? I'll go with it.
Right.
So I'm
And
like,
as far as the decisions that you made over the years, like what do you think has been like the main driver for that? Just wanted to try something different, inspiration from someone else. Now that's probably your most wildest look right there. That's probably
this is after I braided my hair. My neighbor braided my
that's the
hair.
Grizzly Adams look right there.
Yeah, and it actually came out really well. I give her credit. She never braided a Greek man's hair ever in her life. She said,
Right.
and she has struggled a little bit, but it wasn't hard.
Right.
So, let's get off this damn thing.
But what do you think has been like the motivation? So when
At first,
it's just a feel. It just goes with a feeling. Is it inspiration? Say, hey, I want to rock.
Okay. So for the earlier haircuts, like more like a shaved head look kind of thing. Oh, the Mohawks was like that. I just needed. First, it was being cheap. Yeah, buzz it, call it a day. So because I didn't want to spend the money. Then when I started going to barbershop, I want to do something different. The Mohawk, I just want to be different. But I want to be in the trend. I wanted my own style, but a unique trend, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Then when the comb over came over, like I wanted something different. I didn't know what I would do with my hair. I was just so tired doing the same thing over and over.
Right.
That's where the comb over came in.
Right.
With me growing the hair out, it was for my mother. I wanted to donate my hair. That meant the world to me. And
yeah, talk about. I know you talked about that on your. I don't know if you shared a lot of that here, but why don't you talk about some of those efforts? I've seen other guys do that as well. So talk about that. That program and that
donation is. I recommend at least anybody doing it at least once. If not, that's fine too. But I always push people to at least if you're gonna grow your hair out, why not do something with it? Give it a good cause. There's so many different organizations. There's Locks of Love, is Hair for Tots, and so on. Depends on what you want to give. It's up to you. So when I start growing it, you have to know a couple steps. Step number one, you have to stop washing your hair. Yes, I know it sounds disgusting. I have a shower hat. I wash my hair once a week when I did my hair, like growing my hair. Now, it's actually very unhealthy to wash your hair every day. So you have oils. I don't know what kind of oil I need to put in my hair, because the longer your hair gets, less CMB oil your hair grows. Same thing with your face. The face is a little easier to grow.
Right.
So I use beer oil. And people are looking like beer oil. Yeah. If you go any hair product, it has similar products. So Hova oil, sea oil, grape oil, and so on. So why would I spend triple the money because they have to say hair product versus beer product?
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah.
when's there? And I just let it go. The first year was the hardest part because you couldn't do nothing with it. The whole
Right.
year is an awkward space. You're like, you want to wear a hat all the time. You want to wear a cap. You want to cover that head, your mug, as much as possible. You go through a awkward phase with the beard too, but not as you go through like, okay, a month with it, then 6 months you're fine, but not whole
Mhm.
fucking year.
Yeah.
So this part, the top grows fast than the sides. So
Right.
I was able to tie this up, and this was like thing, and like I had like antennas going around my hair like this the whole time.
Right.
So
Right.
I ended up, and people like looked at me like, you you came out of the closet or something? Like, no, there's nothing wrong with this. I bought the clips like girls wear, body pings. I put them
Mm.
in, and I just solved my problems.
Right.
And like it was a learning experience. But if you don't want to do it, I understand that. A lot of
Mhm.
men don't like long hair, but now that it's in a style, a lot of people are changing their ideas.
Right.
With the long hair, if you're gonna grow it, donate it. Why not? I know people that need the hair. If you're able to grow it, do it.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it at that.
I hear that. I heard that. All right. Well, we're at the end of the show. Again, I just want to thank everyone for again being on this ride for us tonight.
Before we go,
Yeah.
I saw
Yeah.
Lou had another what's his name? Josh had a question somewhere here about us. Two questions. I want to touch base really fast with those.
Sure.
David, if you see him, you want to pop him up, please? If you're not sleeping again. He's never gonna live that down, is he?
Oh, he's just looking at my shirt. He said, "Is this is it salmon colored? Is it scarlet red or whatever? It's a Rutgers Scarlet Knight shirt here. So yeah, it's in red. I don't get that detailed with the color. So I think Josh is being Josh today. So
he's clowning you pretty much. That's all he's doing
don't
right
worry about it.
Yeah.
But go RU, go New Jersey, absolutely. So
yeah. Again, I saw a question, so I assumed that was a question for you. Like,
yeah,
he was the one saying we never touched base on his question, so I actually did. So.
I hear you. But for real. But no, it's been a fun show tonight. Certainly way to to break the ice. But talking about, but yes, but definitely, I said we may or may not have found much of a gray area here because again, the black barbershop experience is probably most unique amongst others. I'm just saying there might be like again Dominican hair, or Latin barbershops or whatnot, or certainly other ethnic groups barbershops. But the black barbershop experience is an experience in and of itself. And if you're for a non-black person to experience, in fact, we used to go then we would have guys come in for haircuts. Again, it's not like the black barbershop. If you're white, you want to get in, get your Caesar, get your whatever. We took everybody. Everybody was welcome in the barbershop, and and some of those guys were actually happy to be part of the experience with us. And so certainly we never shot anybody away. If you want to take the heat in the barbershop, anybody can get it. So we but it's definitely a cultural thing for us. Like I said, it is one of the few places where men can really express themselves, and whatnot. We were respectful of certainly when women and kids when they would come into the shop. But again, you went to the barbershop, it went beyond the haircut. Oftentimes, where a lot of the ideas got fleshed out. Again, as was said earlier, politicians oftentimes came to the black barbershop because again there you could really get a pulse for what black men were thinking, what they were feeling, issues that most concern them. So again, it is still to this day probably more so than the black. I know today definitely more than the black church. Certainly a very important stable for black men to meet and to congregate, to flesh out ideas, and to ponder the future. Certainly, so it is a vital part that really keeps black men connected. Whether regardless where you are, you're going to see a similar experience. And again, certainly on the BMU network, we look to have that experience every Friday night at 9:30. Certainly within these spaces.
Before we go, I gotta say one thing. Loss has jokes tonight. I can see his comments in there. I'm gonna kick his ass when I see him.
Yeah.
Oh, in love, of course. But before we go, I have a little surprise for you tonight.
Okay.
So we have a guest coming up soon. CQ from Pop Culture Warrior agreed to come on and speak about his injuries and his story about him being in the military and getting shot.
Nice.
It is a fascinating story. Purple Heart recipient was killed 3 times, I believe he said. Again, I don't want to spoil everyone. I don't have
Okay.
exact dates. It's coming up soon. Please keep your eye on that. It's
Yeah.
going to be a extremely important show. He is my best friend and one of my brothers. It is an honor gonna have him on.
Gotcha.
That's how much
Gotcha. Now I'm
me.
looking forward to that too. Absolutely.
Yeah, this
Absolutely.
I've been trying to get him on for a while. I have spoke to you in the past,
Hmm.
and finally the schedules are starting to line up. We have 2 dates are opening. I'm not sure which one we're gonna put down yet. So I'm gonna let you know on this off the camera because I don't want to spoil the surprise yet. So,
Gotcha.
um,
Gotcha.
except that the update I want to update schedule for everybody. On my side of the stuff is this week we're going to be talking about evolution of men. Please join us. It's gonna be a very serious conversation. I'm really looking forward to on Thursday at 9:30. And next week we are talking about cars on here. So let's see what kind of trouble we get ourselves into now with that one.
I hear you. That can bring out a lot of passion, especially amongst men. That can bring out a lot of passion.
Dude, I used to be a
so,
mechanic. Come on now.
yeah, yeah. So definitely looking forward to that combo. But again, thank you all again once again for joining us tonight. I'm Mr. Bennett. He is Grooming and Reviews, aka
This is Sparta!
aka Peter, aka Paniotis. This has been the gray area again for folks who again earlier I can't express enough. Thank you for your well wishes and your words as again we go through this process, and so hopefully it's been cathartic. But I highly recommend go back and watch if you had an opportunity. Go back and watch our shows again on parental care and on death planning, estate planning, and whatnot. I think these are things that some of these are uncomfortable conversations, but I think these are conversations that need to be had, especially if you're older and you have older parents, and you need to certainly make sure that you take care of your business and make sure that that's handled properly. So, but with that, again, have a great week. We'll see you next time in these streets. Take care. God bless. See you next time.